Most High Yah by way of Yahushua HaMashiach this day, the 5th chapter of John, and the 39th verse.
Is it possible that you could be louder?
Yeah, I got you. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and there they which testify of me, and you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one of another, and seek not the honor that come from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you to Abba. There is one that accuse you, even Moses, in whom ye trust. For had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words? Let's look at Matthew chapter 5 and verse 3. Don't even stop. Oh, your hat. I'm sorry. I apologize. Your mother said sit that hat down. Don't be hard. Malia, go sit down. Yes, sit down. You talking good, ain't you? Go sit with your mommy, Malia. Go sit with your mommy. Baruch are the poor in Ruach, for theirs is the kingdom of shamayim. Now, of course, we've been discussing the last few days about being poor, humbled, afflicted, and made low, so that you can inherit the kingdom of shamayim. So you can inherit eternal life, because that's pretty much what the gist of that statement means when he's saying the kingdom of shamayim, the kingdom of which is eternal, the kingdom of the things that were fixed and spoken of by Yahuwah in the beginning. Let's take ourselves back to Psalm 72. Psalm 72. We are in verse 12. Psalm 72 and 12. Psalm 72 and 12. And it says, for he shall deliver the needy when he cry, the poor also in him that have no helper. So, when we look at the word needy, we have the word for which is Ibon, which is someone we talked about that the other day, which needs deliverance from trouble. Now I'm going to just rehash the words that come into that, the characters anyway. And the characters for that are the Aleph, the Bat, the Yod, the U, and the Nun. When we look at Eon, which again is in want, needy, poor, subject to oppression and abuse, deliverance from trouble, especially being delivered by Elohim. So he says that he will spare the poor and needy and shall save the souls of the needy. So when we sit back and we look at Aleph, we take that as being the strength, along with the Bat, which is the sun, then the Yod, which would be the work, if I'm not mistaken. I'll double check that. I know work is in that, but sometimes I have to make sure that I have not spoken presumptuously. Indeed, the work or the actions of the sacrifice of life. So when you look at the strength of the Son and his actions of his sacrifice of life or that work, this is how he's going to be able to deliver or spare the poor and needy. As fourth is when you got the needy. Remember, the poor is dull, and that is the teaching that leads to the door. Poor also being someone who is weak or thin or also needy as well. So when we look at this here, right, we want to take ourselves to Galatians chapter 2 real quick, because clearly it's the sacrifice of Yahushua which will get us delivered. So when we turn back around after we read this Galatians 2, and we go back and we're going to look at 2 Corinthians chapter 12 and 13 while we're over there. We get to begin the understanding of what the affliction is for. I mentioned this y'all briefly last night, and I mentioned it again. The purpose of Yahuwah afflicting you, and not affliction based off your own actions and decisions. The purpose of Yahuwah afflicting you is to put you in an uncomfortable state. He's putting you in this uncomfortable state for the cause that you must lean solely on Him. See, a lot of times where we make our mistake at is like he told you in Proverbs chapter 3 not to do, which is not to lean on your own understanding, not to trust in your own arm, but to trust in Him and let Him direct your paths and guide your steps, even in the midst of suffering, affliction, and tribulation, that He may lift you up in due time so that you can inherit a kingdom which is eternal. Nevertheless, Galatians chapter 2 and verse 16. Knowing that a man is not justified by the works of the Torah, but by faith of Yahushua HaMashiach. Even we have believed in Yahushua HaMashiach, that we might be justified by the faith of Mashiach, and not by the works of the Torah. For by works of Torah shall no flesh be justified. But if while we seek to be justified by Mashiach, we ourselves also are found sinners, is therefore Mashiach the minister of sin? Elohim forbid. For if I build again the things which I destroyed, I make myself a transgressor. For through Torah I through Torah am dead to Torah, that I might live under Elohim. I am crucified with Mashiach, nevertheless I live, yet not I, but Mashiach live in me, and the life which I now live, I live in the flesh, I live by the faith of the Son of Elohim, who loved me and gave Himself for me. So what do we understand from the statement? We understand from the statement that because this power is the power of the Son's work, and that sacrifice led to life. So if you believe, remember we read John chapter 1 the other day. He gave them power to become the sons of Elohim who believed on His name. And they didn't become sons by the will of the flesh, nor by birth, but by Elohim. So if you want to become a son of Elohim, if you want to be able to be delivered, because He says He spares the poor and needy, then you would need to come in the power of that sacrifice. That power of that sacrifice can come through in the point of when you are made in a low state. Because the word spare is kus. And it means to have pity and compassion on, and to look upon with compassion. So before we go any further, I need to pull something in the law because it's still unleavened bread. Let's go to Exodus chapter 2. Because when you're in a humbled and lowly state, and because of the power of the Son's work, that sacrifice will lead you to life. So if you actually believe on the work which the man came to do, this is why He said, I'll read it myself. I'm going to just read it. I want you to go to Exodus chapter 2 and verse 23. Exodus chapter 2 and verse 23. Give me one moment, please. And it came to pass in the process of time that the Malach of Mishraim died, and the children of Yasharal sighed by reason of the bondage, and they cried, and their cry came up unto Elohim by reason of the bondage. Now the word cry is a knock, and it's a groan in pain or grief. A moan in pain or grief. The second time when it mentions their cry, it's a different word, two different words for cry. It's zak, which means to cry or call out for help. And the second one is sha'ava, which is to cry out for help. And He's saying Elohim heard their groaning, and Elohim remembered His covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. And Elohim looked upon the children of Yasharal, and Elohim had respect unto them. What in the world I'm finna say, what just happened to the screen? So, the word for respect is yada. So that means He began to know them or acknowledge them. That's what it means when he said he had respect on them. He began to acknowledge them. So you have the Yod, the Daleth, and the Hey. So when we look at that, it revealed the work that caused them to enter into the door or the entranceway when he began to know them. So when I mention this word respect, and you spell in Yada, which is Yod, Daleth, and Hey, and it's meaning the revealing of the work that causes you to enter into the door, what would cycle through your mind, little muffin? Because I can see your face. When you look at Yada, and it says when he began to hear their cry, he looked upon us and he had respect unto us. So respect is not the term of how we look at respect or honor to esteem. It's the word Yada, which means he began to know or experience or to acknowledge. So then if he's looking to know or experience or acknowledge us, and we spell Yada, and Yada is Yod, Dalet, and Hey. So what is this telling us? Yod is the work, or the actions. Or we look at Hey, I should say, and it's revealing. What was revealed was the work of the action that caused one to enter into the entrance or the door. So when you take that element and you pair it with the definition of the word itself, means to not I know this individual, or I've experienced this individual, or I acknowledge this individual. It calls what causes them to be known or to be acknowledged. It was their work. So when you hear that, what comes across your mind? And it doesn't matter what you mentioned. I'm not looking for no scripts or nothing other than that. I'm looking for when you hear that he knows and acknowledges me based off the revealing of my work. What does that say to you?
I had a lot in my head when you were talking, but it didn't.
It's okay. It happens.
What's good?
Hold on.
I don't know. I think about. I guess your works are how you're going to be acknowledged. So if you're not doing the works to be acknowledged, then you won't actually. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Deidre, you got something for me for that?
It made me think of once we acknowledge him or what he represents, and we start putting forth the effort, then he would recognize us.
Indeed. So now the reason why I'm taking that is here because I'm going to take us to somewhere else. Because both of y'all's, your statements are correct. Because what I'm trying to get to is, remember we dealing with him sparing the poor and needy. So in order for the poor and needy to be spared, they had to be humble and made low. We came, and there's still other points in Exodus that I haven't touched, and we're going to return to it in a moment. So with Exodus, we're looking at that they were crying and sighing by reason of their bondage or their labor or their service. Because that's what bondage means, labor or service. So we have to look at, for us spiritually, what is our bondage? Our bondage was we were service to what? The flesh and sin. But once we begin to reveal the work, or he revealed the work to cause you to enter into the door, now you are free from this bondage because you cried out by reason of your bondage. See, this is the reason why I asked y'all the question about if you got an 11 in your heart. This is the reason why I asked y'all the question about whether you rate from 0 to 100%, where you at of turning yourself over to his will. Because if you can cry out and acknowledge what it is that permeates your soul, permeates your heart, and permeates your flesh, then you have an opportunity for you to be able to have him reveal what you need to do to extinguish it. See, I asked these questions to cause y'all to look upon your own hearts, which we're about to read in a moment. Because if you're not reflecting and communing with your own soul, then there is no way that you can ever elevate with yourself because you're comfortable at a place where you felt like you have achieved. You can never be comfortable while you're breathing. I'm talking about in anything you're doing. Like, you shouldn't be comfortable as a parent. You shouldn't be comfortable as a husband. You shouldn't be, I should say as a spouse, so I don't have to be redundant. You shouldn't be comfortable as a friend. You shouldn't be comfortable as an employee. You shouldn't be comfortable as a business owner. Because what is this normal thing that people say in the world? Anything that is not growing is what? Dead. You know what I'm saying? Mashiach said, except the corn of wheat fall on the ground and die, it abide alone. But if it die, it bring forth much fruit because it is growing. You actually, and you look at it in just a practical sense. Dropping a seed in the ground, for lack of a better purpose, is putting the seed in an adverse position. He's not in a comfortable position. But in order for that seed to do what it's supposed to do, it needs to go in the ground. Then because of all the factors around it that force this seed to grow, it brings forth fruit until it's perfected and someone can come pick that fruit off of that tree. Which is taking us to Mashiach in his death, if you can understand the science behind what I just said. So if we want Yah to respect us or to know us, then we have to be doing the work that would cause him to know us. And what is that work, little muffin? I will accept that. Huh? I will accept that. Deidre, what do you think I would be looking for on that?
I would go with what she said. She said his will, which, I mean, you got to know what his will is.
And what is his will?
To serve him with all your heart, your mind, and soul.
Indeed. Indeed. But the main thing I was looking for is what he said in John chapter 6. When the dude said, what is the work of Elohim? And he said to believe on him whom he has sent.
Right.
And the reason why I mentioned that, because Will read y'all what? That Deuteronomy 18 last night. That you better hearken unto him, or I will require it of thee. Remember the first thing, and what you just mentioned, with the love him with all your heart and all your soul, right? What is the first word that is mentioned in that Deuteronomy chapter 6 before he tell you to love him with all your heart and all your soul? What's the first word he says? Do you know what the first word it is that he says in that particular verse without looking?
What verse?
The verse you just mentioned where he said to love him with all your heart and all your soul. The Deuteronomy 6 and 4, the Shema.
Do I know what he said?
The first word, well I just said it. No, the first thing he told you before he told you to love him was to hear.
Oh, yeah.
Hear, O Yasharal. That's the first thing we have to realize that we need to do, is that we need to hear. And that's the Shama, that's to hear with the intent to do. See, a lot of us hear things, but we don't have an intent to do it. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we don't want to be at. We don't want to be at that place. Come over here to Matthew chapter 7, verse 17, I want to say. Well, you hit that right on the head, boy. That's some accuracy for you behind right there, boy. That's accuracy.
I run routes all day. I know my time to the teeth.
That boy, that hit that thing on the nail, boy. I like that.
Cut the call at 29.
Well, I like that. I already know. Come look at that 31. That nigga was in the driveway down 30. I'm die had to be. I like that. Look at them little babies sleep. 7 and 16, everybody. Matthew 7 and 16. You shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree bring forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bring forth evil fruit. Leave them babies alone, they sleep. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that bring not forth good fruit is hewn down. Abigail Dion. Leave that stuff alone. You know you wrong. Abigail. You a little stubborn little baby. You acting like nobody don't hear you.
Leave him alone.
Go.
Come on. Push it up.
He said, every tree that bring not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire. Wherefore by their fruits ye shall know them. Not everyone that saith unto me, Master, Master, shall enter into the kingdom of shamayim, but he that do the will of my Abba which is in shamayim. Many will say to me in that day, Master, Master, have we not prophesied in thy name, and in thy name have cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works? Then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. So taking it, and since I've been talking the Muffin and D with it, I'll continue with that with y'all. Taking into account what we just looked at with respect. Respect is to know and to acknowledge. It's yada, yada, dalit, hey. So it's the revealing of the work that causes you to get in the door, which will allow you to be acknowledged. If we've already established from the Eon that is the power of the Son's work of sacrifice, which leads to life, what is causing Yahusha, based off the information we're looking at, for him not to know them? Because he said, depart from me. We know the workers of iniquity part. That's clean. But based off the respect and the needy, what in that, and I pretty much gave you the answer, and I can run it back down again if you need me to. What in that is causing him not to know them? Remember, yada is for him to know and to acknowledge you. So if you're needy, because remember the people are crying out behind bondage, they needed deliverance. The people who need deliverance see the power of the Son's work of sacrifice, which gives life. So because of this, now it's been revealed to them the work that gets them in the door, and now Yah knows them and acknowledges them. So based off of that information, what is it that they're lacking that causes Yahusha not to know them? And what would be that work specifically? No. You can give me a hug though. Okay. D, you got an idea on that?
I was gonna say, well, I was actually gonna say same.
And based off, because remember, I actually said that the answer was in what I was stated. What they didn't have was the sacrifice. Hey, baby. That's what they didn't have, because remember, that's the work. Yahusha did what? He sacrificed himself, right? So if we get immersed in his name, what have we done? We've taken our stake too, and we've sacrificed ourselves, or made ourselves a living sacrifice. Therefore, this is what, remember, when we're looking at Aeon, it's the power, the Aleph, of the Son, the Bat, the work, which is the Yod, the U, which is the sacrifice, and the Noon, which is life. So it's the power of the Son's sacrifice, or the power of the work of the Son's sacrifice, which gives you life. Because without his sacrifice, you can't have life. For him to know you and to acknowledge you, he had to reveal to you the work that could get you in the door. What was the work? Remember, how did we come out of Egypt? What did he do? He sacrificed the firstborn sons of Egypt. That was the work, pointing you to the work of his firstborn son that was going to lead you out of Egypt again. And what was the age of the lamb that you had to sacrifice? No. Firstborn lamb without blemish, right? So the key point of the element, what we're looking at is, in order for you to be afflicted and humble and needy, because I'm going to get to this part with the groan, you have to be made low by Elohim so he can lift you up. The only way that you can do that is to do the work of Elohim, which is to take up his stake daily and follow him. If you don't do that, then he cannot know you. See, a lot of people look at him knowing you is just you keeping the commandments. It was faith, like y'all mentioned, because you had to have the faith that he would resurrect you from the dead, meaning if you were actually Yahusha himself. So because you say, I believe according to the scriptures, Yahusha resurrected from the dead, And I believe this, so therefore I am buried with him in immersion. So I'm dead unto sin. Remember we were talking about that? I'm dead unto sin to be alive under Elohim. So now therefore sin will no longer reign in my mortal body. And I serve him, like we read in Galatians when we started, right? He said, I no longer live, but the Son of Elohim lives in me by the faith in him that I have. So when you look at that, you have any manner of leaven or any manner of yes, baby. Yes. Yes. Yes, those are babies. Those are babies. Go sit down for me, little baby. So when we look at it in the aspect of, if you believe that he died for you and that word is in you, then you have made that sacrifice with him. Therefore you have made yourself lowly, humbled, weak, and afflicted, because you trust that Elohim will lift you up in due time as he lifted up Yahusha. And therefore sin will no longer reign in your mortal body, because he's only going to spare the poor and needy. And the poor and needy are always going to be the ones who lean on that sacrifice. So when we look at leaning on the sacrifice, it's trusting that this man died and rose and allowing this man to live in you. See, our problems arising because we're not allowing this man to live in us. When we say live in you, we're talking about the actual word, because he's the word made flesh. You have Yahusha with you wherever you go if you carry a Bible on your phone or in your car. But he's not going everywhere you go if he's not in your heart. See, you can have it. See, you got him with you everywhere you go, but he's external. You need, and I've told you this before, I've said this numerous times, you need to carry him with you internally. Because he said, I will never leave you and forsake you if you acknowledge him, and if you seek after him with the whole heart, he will find you. See, the key thing is that you never know Elohim. Elohim makes himself known unto you. Then once he's made, that's where the revealing of the word come in at. Because he's making himself known unto you, so you can know what you need to do so he can acknowledge you. That's why he told them, we did all this stuff in your name. He said, but I don't know you though. Because you didn't sacrifice yourself. Remember what he said? Make the tree good and its fruit good. In order for you to make the tree good and the fruit good, what do you have to do? You have to make that sacrifice. And that's what nobody wants to do. Let's come back to that Exodus chapter 2. And let's look at this part with this crying. And I'll show you again what I'm talking about. So it says that by reason of the bondage they cried in verse 23. And that cry came to Elohim by reason of the bondage. And because of their groaning, he remembered that covenant. Remember, we talked about that remember before. That's the Zakar. So let's look at Yahusha groaning. And let's see if y'all remember this covenant. Luke 24, if I believe. It's definitely not Luke 24. I definitely misspoke. It's definitely Luke. It's definitely Luke chapter 23. And about verse 44. I'm going to go in a little different direction. And we'll read the verse that this comes from. Hold on. Hold on one second, Joe. Luke 23 and 44. And it was about the 6th hour, and there was darkness over all their rats until the 9th hour, and the sun was darker than the veil of the temple was rent in the midst. And when Yahusha cried with a loud voice, he said, Abba. Into thy hands I commend my Ruach. And having said thus, he gave up the Ruach. When y'all hear that verse right there, what comes to your mind? That was Luke chapter 23, verse 46 specifically of what I'm referring to. When he said, Father, into thy hands I commend my Ruach, and then he gave up the Ruach. On the spiritual aspect, what do you think that he's telling you? And we're going to read Psalms 31 because this is where this is prophesied at. Let's get Psalms 31 first, and let's see if that helps y'all better, a little bit better. We're going to go to Psalms 31 where that statement comes from. And then I'll re-ask that question. We at Psalms 31. We'll start at verse 1. In thee, O Yahuwah, do I put my trust. Let me never be ashamed. Deliver me in thy righteousness. Bow down thy ear to me. Deliver me speedily. Be thou my strong rock, for a house of defense to save me. For thou art my rock and my fortress, therefore for thy name's sake lead me and guide me. See, and I'm just going to make a point. I'm not going to break nothing down too deep on this here. I just want you to understand verse 3. This man said that Yahuwah is his rock, which means that's what he built upon, because we didn't talk about that before. Then he said he's his fortress, which means he's his protection. And this man say, for the name of Yahuwah, let that lead you and guide you. See, that's what a lot of our problem is that we will not allow the name of Yahuwah to lead us and guide us. Because you want to lead and guide yourself, and you want to direct yourself, which shows forth that the power of the Son's work of sacrifice to give you life is not present. Because if it was present, you would be allowing this man to lead you and guide you, and you wouldn't be making decisions off your own volition. Nevertheless, pull me out of the net that they have laid privily for me, for thou art my strength. Into thy hand I commit my Ruach. Thou hast redeemed me, O Yahuwah Elohim of truth. Do you see what he said? In thy hand I commit my Ruach. Now let's look at the word hand here, and let's see what we get. Now we got hand, we got yard here. Go ahead and spell it for me, D. I know it's very simple. Go ahead and spell yard for me real quick, D. Yeah. Yard and dalet. So when we looking at that, based off what we talking about, it's the actions that cause you to enter into the door. This is what he said that commit his Ruach to. So when Yahushua said that, it said that Yahushua say, Father, into thy hands I commit thy Ruach, my Ruach, and he gave up the Ruach. Spiritually, what do y'all think that he's imparting to us if we will open up the text? And this is based off what we've already talked about already, considering with respect. Considering with that yada and considering with that needy of the ayon. Remember, the yada is the revealing of the work that causes you to enter into the door. The ayon, or for the needy, is the power of the Son's work of sacrifice which gives you life. And he said, into thy hands I commit my Ruach, and he gave up the ghost. So let's look at it this way. If he gave up the ghost, what did he give up? He gave up his life. But then in the same token, he said with that same Ruach of breath that he gave up, where did he say he committed it to? To his Father. And specifically what? Into his Father's what? Hand. So he committed his breath to his Father's work. So in order, see, this is the level of faith that he possessed. See, we're trying to touch on something else. Now, if he's on this state, clearly he's lowly and afflicted. We can all agree on that. But in the midst of being lowly and afflicted, he decided that I'm going to commit my life to my Elohim's work and not to myself.
Hey, get out of that plug.
If that make any sense. Based on, because remember, he given up his life, and in the midst of giving up his life, he committed his life to his God. In the midst of death, he said, I will commit my life to your work. This is what he means when he say, let this mind be in you, that this man was a servant and humbled himself even unto death. Even in the midst of death, he was willing to humble himself under his father's hand and commit himself to him. Because see, this is what it is to think about. Look at, where is your level of commitment at? See, anything that you do in life is only going to be successful as according to the level of commitment that you possess. Your marriage is not going to work if you're not committed to it. Your business is not going to work unless you're committed to it. Your service to Elohim to attain salvation is not going to work if you're not committed to it. Now, how many of us can sit back and say that we've been on at the penalty of death, willing to be committed to the work to your last breath? You haven't been put in a situation for you to suffer that yet. But he done set that example. That man say in his last breath, he committed that breath to the work. And listen to the next verse. He say in verse 6, I have hated them that regard lying vanities. I trust in you. You see how that goes back to what we were talking when I was talking to y'all Wednesday about when he was talking about, yeah, go ahead and kill him and let his mama sins be remembered, and don't let his daddy's sins be blotted out. But this man said, I hate people who regard lies that are nothing. Let's look at that word hated real quick. That word is saneh, and it means somebody, an enemy. An enemy. Or sanah, I should say. And when they look at regard, guess what he said? Those that it's the shamar. Those who keep, observe, and give heed to lies. So Yahuwah looks at those who give heed, keep, and regard lies as his enemies. So therefore we regard them. That goes back to when we were talking about Jehoshaphat, when he said, how can you love them that hate Yahuwah? See, I mentioned this to Will Shay last night, right? You take the average person, and we'll use a woman more for this example, because usually a woman has more of a checklist than a man. Though men have checklists, but some people checklists be superficial. You could run across an individual, and you have the checklist that you desire for a man or for a woman. And we expect every person we come across to meet every check. Kind of like how Shallow Hal was. You remember Shallow Hal? Shallow Hal would not get the opportunity to actually know a person because his checklist was superficial and shallow. You know what I'm saying? So then he made him only see people's personalities. So then he no longer remains shallow. The reason why I mention that is a woman can say, okay, I want a man to have this, and this. And let's say it's 10 of them. And he can have 7 of those 10. But the nigga don't want to fool with him because of them other 3. That same individual who could have had somebody that was closer to what they desired could run across somebody who's got 1 out of 10 and feel like I can build that nigga up to be a 10 out of a 10. Because see, I was just talking to my homie and I told her the same thing. Why did you choose the individuals you choose? Because you didn't want to be challenged. Why do people turn away from Yahuwah? Because they don't want to be challenged. Because they say that they want these things in their God, and they want this for their life, and they want that for their life. And Yahuwah meets all these things that they say they want, but they walk away because he challenges them. So in the end, they begin to regard lies. They begin to regard fallacies. And if you love Yahuwah, you should not regard these things. They should utterly detest you. Don't you go over there, them toys, because you think you slick. You think you slick. I ain't laughing. Come on back over here to Psalm 72. Oh, my bad. 2 Corinthians chapter 12. Second Corinthians chapter 12 and verse 9. We got 38 minutes. 2 Corinthians chapter 12 verse 9. And he said unto me, my con is sufficient for thee. My strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather esteem in my infirmities, that the power of Mashiach may rest upon me. Therefore I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in necessities, and persecutions, in distresses, for Mashiach's sake. For when I am weak, then I am strong. What does that take us back to? It takes us back to the needy and needing deliverance from trouble, or needing salvation, or being poor. Because it's the power of the Son's work of sacrifice which gave you life. See, we don't want to be weak and lowly towards Elohim. Then we don't want to sit back and look at that if you in a weak state, the strength is there by the word. You trying to get it from yourself, or you trying to get it from sinners, or you trying to get it from any source other than where strength come from. Because this is what Paul said. This is what Paul said Mashiach had to tell him. And he understood that when I'm weak, I'm strong. So therefore, I will esteem in my weaknesses so this man's power can be upon me. Which is why I read that Psalms 31 and the Luke 23. Because the man was in a position of weakness and he committed his power to his Elohim. That's where he put it. That's where he said, I'm going to esteem in him. I'm being nailed to death right now. And I'm bleeding to death. And I say I'm going to commit my breath to the work of Elohim. That's what I'm going to do. And why did the power of Elohim begin to rest upon him? Because he resurrected him from the dead. 2 Corinthians chapter 13. Verse 3. See, that's what you have to sit back and look at it, right? Because if you're not resting in that power, I'm here to tell you, when you die and you wake up, you are not going to like it. Because we can sit here and we can be comfortable and we can look at it as this is the routine and we do this in and out. This ain't no routine. This is your life. Literally, this is your life. And you have to treat it like that. You know what happens when you be in these streets and you get comfortable? You get pinched or you get your brains blowed out. Because that means you slipping. You know what my big homie used to tell us back in the day? Slippers don't count. You have to treat the word in the same fashion. If you out here around here playing and you comfortable, you slipping. And slippers don't count. 2 Corinthians chapter 13 verse 3. Since ye seek proof of Mashiach speaking in me, which to you, Ward, is not weak, but is mighty in you. For though he was crucified through weakness, again, that goes back to what we're talking about, being poor and needy. Yet he lived by the power of Elohim. Again, being dead to sin, but alive to Elohim. Again, it takes us back to what the word needy breaks down to. The power, the Aleph, the Bat, the Son, the Yod, which is the work, the U, which is the sacrifice, and the Nun, which is life. In the midst of weakness, there was power that brought forth life. We don't seem to understand that. How was he able to know you? And what we look at in Exodus with the Yada, to know you, to acknowledge you, to experience you, because he revealed to you the work that would get you in that door. That work was that sacrifice in the midst of weakness, and we overlook that because we don't want to be made weak, because we really want to rely on ourselves. We trust in ourselves more than we trust in Yahuwah. That's why we make bad decisions. For though he was crucified through weakness, yet he lived by the power of Elohim. For we also are weak in him, but we shall live with him by the power of Elohim towards you. Examine yourselves, whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves how that Yahushua HaMashiach is in you, except you be reprobates. But I trust that you shall know that we are not reprobates. Now I pray to Elohim that you do no evil, not that we should appear approved, but that you should do that which is honest, though we be as reprobates. For we can do nothing against the truth, but for the truth. For we are glad when we are weak, and ye are strong, and this also we wish, even your perfection. We had to sit back and look at it. Yahushua was glad to be in a weakened state, so that we could be made strong through his weakness, which was his sacrifice. Which is why he told you that I did not come here to serve, to be served, but to serve and to make my life a ransom for many. So knowing that a man purposely made himself weak in order for you to be strong, then you ought to lean on his strength in the same moment of weakness as he did. Now let's go to Hebrews chapter 5. Hebrews 5 and 7. And this is again correlating to what we looking at in Exodus. Who in the days of his flesh, when he offered up prayers and supplications with strong crying and tears unto him that was able to save him from death, and was heard, and that he feared. Though he wore a son, yet he learned obedience by the things which he suffered. And being made perfect, he became the author of eternal salvation unto all that obey him. So Yahuwah was able to acknowledge this man. Now, how did he reveal Yahushua the word? Let's go back and let's look at Acts chapter 13 and verse 39. Acts chapter 13, verse 39. Make that Acts chapter 13, verse 36.
No, sir.
Make it 35. Wherefore he saith also in another psalm, Thou shalt not suffer thy cassed one to see corruption. For David, after he had served his own generation by the will of Elohim, fell on asleep and was laid unto his fathers and saw corruption. But he whom Elohim raised again saw no corruption. Be it known unto you, therefore, men and brethren, that through this man is preached unto you the forgiveness of sins. And by him all that believe are justified from the things which you could not be justified by the Torah of Moses. Now, why is this important when we look at that? Because we're looking at him sparing the poor and needy. Needy being the Elyon. So again, it is the power of the Son's work of sacrifice which gave the life, which was not present in the law of Moses. So therefore you couldn't get that justification or power. Since I said that again about that power, hold this Acts 13 and come over here to John chapter 1 and 12. But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of Elohim, even to them that believe on his name, which were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of Elohim. So he said he gave them the power to become. If you receive this man, you're going to receive his sacrifice, which means you're going to make yourself weak. Which means you're going to humble yourself. Which means you say you have need to be saved. See, if you walk around comfortable and complacent and walking around in a routine, you got it in your mind that you don't need to be saved. Did Paul say, matter of fact, since I said that, come over here. I mean, got to go there. What did Paul say? Paul say, I fought the good fight. That means he fought it all the way to the end. He said, matter of fact, come to Philippians chapter 3. I did quote him directly. Put that toy down. Give me that phone. Give it to me. Give it to me. Give me that. This. I don't care nothing about that. Hush that noise. Hush it up. Hush. Hush.
Alright.
Go.
Come here.
Go ahead, little Batman. That cry ain't even real. Y'all mind ain't even real. Philippians chapter 3 and verse 14. Make that verse 12. My apologies. Matter of fact, make it 10.
Come on, so you get your mic cut. Come on, get up.
Philippians 3 and 10. He said that I may know him and the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of his sufferings, being made conformable unto his death. Remember, that's what the needy is telling us. Remember the yada to reveal the work that gets you in the door. What was the work? It was the sacrifice being made conformable to his death. To have partnership or communion with that suffering. See, that's the stuff everybody looks to avoid. That's what Paul understood. He wanted that work to be revealed in him. He wanted to know that suffering. He wanted to be made conformable to his death so he could see the power of life that was in said suffering. And this is why Yahushua told them people, I don't know you. When this man said he that suffered in the flesh ceased from sin, this is an individual who's taken up his state and has chosen to suffer. If by any means I may attain unto the resurrection of the dead. Not as though I already attained, either were already perfect, but I follow after. That if I may apprehend that which for also I'm apprehended of Yahushua HaMashiach. This man say he did not state as if he already attained the resurrection of the dead. He's not speaking as if he was already complete. He's speaking from the fact that he's apprehended by the faith, therefore he continues to seek after apprehending it. See, we done got to the point where we so simple in mind that we feel like we know something, that we've attained something. If you have not resurrected from the dead, you have attained absolutely nothing. That's what you got to get through your mind. If you have not resurrected from the dead and are now flesh and bones, you have not attained anything, and therefore you have no reason to be comfortable. Because Paul was an apostle, and he telling you, I'm still going hard. I ain't attained nothing. I'm not perfect. I'm apprehended. I'm trying to apprehend what I'm apprehended by, which is the faith of Yahushua. I've been captured by it. Acts chapter 13. Acts chapter 13, verse 40. He said, beware therefore, lest that come upon you which is spoken of in the prophets. Behold, you despisers, and wonder and perish. For I work a work in your days, a work which you shall no wise believe, though a man declare it unto you. He said, you're not even going to believe it even though somebody told it to you. Even though a man told it to you, you're not going to believe it. Now, of course, we know Yahuwah is not a man, but he told it to Yahushua what exactly was going to happen. And he believed it. That's how he revealed to him the work. Because his father, he said, we read it last night. He said, my father gave me a commandment I should lay my life down, that I could pick it up again. Again, what we looked at in Philippians. If you have not attained the resurrection of the dead, then you have no reason being comfortable. This man say that I want to know the fellowship of his sufferings and be made conform to his death. That's the only way you're going to actually attain eternal life. And then you have to ask yourself, how serious are you about attaining that? Don't come in here with all that noise, because both of you know better, especially you. Back to Psalm 72. Because I believe I'm good in Exodus chapter 2. Malia, quiet. Psalm 72 and verse 12. Remember, we dealing with, he said he'll deliver the needy. For he shall deliver the needy when he cry. And again, that's the same word, shava. And when we look at that, we have the shan, the u, and the hey. So when you sit back and you crying out for help, now we already read in Luke chapter 23 that Yahushua cried out for help. We already read in Hebrews chapter 5 that he was heard and that he feared when he cried out. So if we look at Shava and we look at Shan, we look at U, and we look at Hey, we see how those who are the revealing of those who are joined to that sacrifice or to that tent peg or to the death of Mashiach, he is going to hear them. He's going to reveal himself to them. Let me put it that way. Let's see how he revealed himself to Yahushua in that aspect. Romans chapter 8. Romans 8 and 9. But you are not in the flesh, but in the Ruach. If so be that the Ruach of Elohim dwell in you. Now, if any man have not the Ruach of Mashiach, he is none of his. And if Mashiach, quiet. And if Mashiach be in you, the body is dead because of sin, but the Ruach is life because of righteousness. But if the Ruach of him that raised up Yahushua from the dead dwell in you, he that raised up Mashiach from the dead shall also quicken your mortal bodies by the Ruach that dwell in you. Therefore, brethren, we are debtors not to the flesh to live after the flesh. For if you live after the flesh, ye shall die. But if you through the Ruach do mortify the deeds of the body, ye shall live. For as many as are led by the Ruach of Elohim, they are the sons of Elohim. So again, all this is coming from Matthew chapter 5. Baruch are they who are poor in Ruach, for theirs is the kingdom of shamayim, or the kingdom of eternal life. You are not going to get that king. He's not going to reveal nothing to you. He's not going to reveal his Ruach or his power of his resurrection if you are not joined to it. If you're not going by this power of the work of this sacrifice, which is giving your own self up. Come on back to Psalm 72. Remember he says, for he shall deliver the needy when he cry, the poor also, and him that have no helper. When we look at the word helper, it's azar. And it's somebody who needs an aid, a succor, support, or to help. Matter of fact, I'm getting ahead of myself. Come over here to Job chapter 30 before we even talk about that helper, because I'm getting ahead of myself.
Fire. Go eat.
Job 30. Job 30 and 20. Make it 19. Go in there and eat. Y'all don't stop being hard-headed. Y'all do not run around here and do what y'all want to do. Y'all heard where she told y'all to go. He have cast me into the mire, and I become like dust and ashes. What does he mean when he say he cast him in the mire, and now you've become like dust and ashes?
You say Job what?
30 and 19. Now the word for mire is komar, and it means mortar or clay or cement. So if it means clay, what does this mean? The ground. The ground. So you've cast me into the mire. What does he mean when he say I become like dust and ashes?
Flesh.
Well, let's look at Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and look what he tells you. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, and then we'll read chapter 12 along with it. Ecclesiastes 3 and 18. Ecclesiastes 3 and 18. Because this the reason too why I'm sitting here and I'm going to be stressing this fact of how you comfortable and every last one of y'all know you got to meet the grave. You know you got to die one day and you don't know when it's coming. That's the part to sit back and really let that sink in your brain. Everybody in this room is going to die one day and you don't know when it's coming. You don't know when it's coming. How you comfortable? How you get complacent? How does serving y'all get routine when you gonna meet the mortuary one day? You gonna meet the coroner. You going on a cold slab. Your breath is gonna leave your body. And you gonna go back to the dust from whence you came. And if you ain't made yourself weak before Elohim, you ain't gonna have no power to reign with him. Now let that sink in your brain. Let that rest in your heart while nigga around here playing and kicking the bobo. That junk, that's serious. A nigga just died as I'm speaking. and somebody just got born who may never know Yahuwah. I said in my heart concerning the estates of the sons of men, that Elohim might manifest them, that they may see that they themselves are beasts. Now, why do you think that this man, that Solomon, would sit here and say concerning the estates of sons of men, that Elohim might make it known, that you might know that you ain't nothing but a beast? For that which befall the sons of men befall beasts. Even one thing befall them, as the one die, so die the other. Yea, they all have one breath, so that a man have no preeminence above a beast. For all is vanity. Guess what? That dog gonna die just like you gonna die. So you ain't no better than that dog. You know the only thing where you got something better at is that he set a man over the work of his hands to rule over it. He say, all go under one place, all are of the dust, and all turn to dust again. Because we could go right back, we could go right to Genesis, and he could tell you how he made the beast from the dust of the ground too then. So you better get your mind together. So while you playing, we're trying to get you to the point to understand. He said, blessed are the poor, the humble, those who cry out, who are in need to be joined to that sacrifice. Those who have acknowledged the power of the Son's work of sacrifice to get life. Those who have actually had the work revealed to them so they could get in the door. And niggas around here like it's cool. But you don't know if you're going to live to see tomorrow. Don't you know that man say, if you say we're going to do such and such on this day and such on this day, and you don't say Yahuwah willing, that's evil, you just know you're going to be alive, huh? Because that's basically what Yah is in part. So you just know what my will is, and you just know you're going to be here, huh? So that's what that is, huh? You done made plans like you know what's going on. He said, don't even worry about it. Kill that nigga right now. I'll show you. Ecclesiastes chapter 12. Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 5. Also, when they shall be afraid of that which is high, and fear shall be in the way, and the almond tree shall flourish, and the grasshopper shall be a burden, and desire shall fail, because man go to his long home, and the mourners go about the streets. What y'all think that means since I'm looking at it? Because something just came to my mind for that. What y'all think that means? He say, when they shall be afraid of that which is high, and fear shall be in the way, and an almond tree shall flourish, and the burden of the grasshopper and the desire shall fail, because man go to his home and mourners go about the streets. You better know it, young man. Let's look at it and see, and let's precept it out. Let's look at the first part. They shall be afraid of him that is high. Revelation chapter 5. Revelation chapter 5. My bad, I want chapter 6. 6 and 14. Matter of fact, make it 6 and 12. And I beheld when he opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. And the set stars of shamayim fell into their rats, even as a fig tree cast her untimely figs when she's shaken of a mighty wind. And shamayim departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. And the maliks of the Arats, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sit on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come. Who shall be able to stand? Now I'm going to ask y'all a question. Who going to be able to stand in the great day of his wrath? The ones who were already built upon that rock. They'll be able to stand. Which takes us back to what we read in Philippians with Paul, when Paul say, I don't seek to say that I've attained, but I want to be conformable with his death and have fellowship with his sufferings. See, See, this is the one thing that where people have to go to instinct to what they think they ought to do. That a person making themselves weak to therefore have power. Because people think power is being strong consistently because you trust yourself. See, you know, what's the biggest thing that set Yahusha apart from everybody? And it's a very simple thing too. And what would that belief be based upon? Because he listens. Because I'm just taking that back because we mentioned that Shamar. From that here, O Yasharal, he hearkened. Because he hearkens, therefore he believed. He said, I believe, therefore I have what? Spoken. Because faith come by hearing, and hearing come by the word. He believed it. He believed him. See, we hear the word, but we don't do the word because we don't believe it. That's why I give y'all the simple scenario of when your parents told you to do something, and if you didn't do it, I'm going to whoop your tail, and then you didn't do it, and then they whooped you. You didn't do it because you didn't believe your mama was going to whoop you. So you didn't believe your mama or your daddy was going to render the discipline and the judgment required based off your disobedience. See, when it comes to the word, we don't believe y'all going to send us to hell for it. We don't believe we going to get killed for it. So we do it anyway because we don't believe it. When you believe it, you hold. Abraham believed in y'all. That's why he walked around and left all his people in Mesopotamia. That's why he left them in Ur Chaldees. He believed it. How many people gonna sit back and say, go? I told y'all this before. Nigga be like, why y'all don't talk to me? Because he know you not gonna listen. Why would the Ruach minister anything to your Ruach if he know you not gonna listen? Why would he do it? Think about that. Why would he do it? You know what people do when they steady tell somebody the same thing over and over again? You know what they end up doing? They stop talking. I don't want to talk to you no more. And you know what they feeling is? Do what you want to do, nigga. I don't care what happened to you. That's when he turn around, he give you over to your own desire. Or because you don't want to retain this man of your knowledge, he give you over to a reprobate mind. Which is why we read that in 2 Corinthians 13. Examine your own self and prove your own self whether you be in the faith or not, or you reprobate. Meaning that's self-examination. How many of you niggas run a check on yourself every day? How many of you really sit back and look at yourself on a consistent basis? That means you're not examining yourself whether you in the faith or not. You feeling like because I know certain things that other people don't know, I'm in the faith, but you not obeying or believing the promise. So therefore you're not in the faith. You just a nigga doing something. Instead of being a kased one, instead of being a set apart one, instead of being a son or daughter of Elohim, you just a nigga who knows some script. That ain't what, but just like Paul stated, whoever wrote Hebrews, I say Paul because that's who they're attributed to. But we're persuaded better things of that than you. So the things pertaining to salvation, thus we speak. That's why we talking about humbling and afflicting yourself so the power of Elohim can rest upon you. See, nobody wants to humble themselves. Niggas humble themselves conveniently. You know the only time when niggas humble themselves? When they in trouble. You wasn't humbling yourself before there was any trouble. And 9 times out of 10, the trouble that you in is self-inflicted. It's different if you were crying out and it was trouble that you didn't put yourself into. How you crying out and you did that to yourself? You put yourself in that condition and position. And I ain't talking about putting yourself in that condition and position when you were ignorant. You know what I'm saying? When you didn't know no better. Or when you were stupid. I'm talking about when you knew and you made a profession of faith. Ain't no way in the world we should be doing stupid stuff. Now let's look at the next thing. What do you think he means when he says the almond tree flourishes? What do y'all think he mean when he say that almond tree flourishes?
Like really dark.
The almond. That's in Ecclesiastes 12. We looked at the first part in Ecclesiastes 12 when he said they are afraid of him that is high and the fear shall be in the way. Then it says the almond tree will flourish. That's the next thing that's stated. So what does that mean when he talking about the almond tree flourishing? Does any of y'all got any idea what the law speaks of when it's talking about almond trees? Or anything with almonds, period? What about it in Exodus?
I'm just searching because I ain't know they talk about almond trees, honestly.
You know, you just don't remember.
Okay.
Let's go to Numbers chapter 17.
What you say, go?
Number 17. What happened to Aaron's rod, Deidre?
Oh, it blossomed.
Exactly. Number 17 and 6. And Moses spake unto the children of Yasharal, and every one of their princes gave them a rod apiece, for each prince one according to their father's houses, even 12 rods. And the rod of Aaron was among their rods. And Moses laid up the rods before Yahuwah in the tabernacle of witness. And it came to pass that on the morrow, Moses went into the tabernacle of witness, and behold, the rod of Aaron,
Go back in there. Go to the bathroom and that's what you're doing.
for the house of Levi was budded, and brought forth buds, and bloomed blossoms, and yielded almonds. What did it say it yielded? Almonds. It say when the almond tree flourished. Now, when they look at this rod, did anybody know what Aaron's name means? This means the same exact thing as a very famous name that people incorrectly ascribe to Satan.
Light bearer, right?
That's what it means.
You said Aaron?
Aaron's name means light bearer. We dealt with that about a year or so ago.
Christian, I'm right here.
Hey, look. You can fish alone. Hey, what y'all supposed to be doing? Okay.
So look at this, right? So the light bearer has yielded almonds. And Moses brought out all the rods from before Yahuwah unto the children of Yasharal, and they looked and took every man his rod. And Yahuwah said unto Moses, bring Aaron's rod again before the testimony to be kept for a token against the rebels, and thou shalt quite take away their murmurings from me, that they die not. So remember, right, it's saying that the almond tree has flourished in the midst of these people having fear of the things that are in the way, and from him that is on high. And now a grasshopper is burdened, and desire will fail, because man goes to his long home, and mourners are walking the street. But now let's continue to deal with that almond flourishing. Now they said that because clearly we see the almond tree is symbolic of this rod. Now let's look at a statement Yahushua made, and let's take ourselves to Mark 13. Just because we read it the other day, we'll use it again. Mark chapter 13, we want to... I'm sorry, man. I'm moving kind of slow. I will start at about verse 24. I should start there, but I'm going to do it anyway. But in those days, after that tribulation, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light. And the stars of shamayim shall fall, and the powers that are in shamayim shall be shaken. And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with great power and esteem. And then he shall send his malachim, and shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from the uttermost part of the Iraq to the uttermost part of Shamayim. Now learn the parable of the fig tree. When the branch is yet tender and put forth her leaves, you know that summer is near. So ye in like manner, when you see these things come to pass, know that is nigh, even at the doors. So let me ask, what are some of the things that you'll know that summer is near? Yeah, he said about... What are the signs that you would know summer is near based off what he said? I only mentioned one of them, clearly. We read one of them. What are the signs that you know his coming is near? Because that's what he's telling you.
You didn't just read it.
Yes, I did read one of them.
No, the one I just said.
No,
You meant to be lovers of themselves and not about him.
I give you that, but that ain't one of the signs he mentioned. This is gonna have to recall the memory. How many of y'all done read Matthew 24? So then, one of the signs I just mentioned was what? I just read one of them. No, I'm talking about before we got to him saying the branches are tender. I read one of the things that you should know when his coming is near. He said great tribulation in those days.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of the signs that you would know that he's near. What is another sign that you would know his coming is near? What else did he say would occur? That the love of many will wax cold, iniquity would abound. He told you that there would false Mashiachs arise. He told you many false prophets would arise. He told you a man would stand in the temple of Elohim and make the abomination that make desolate. See, again, our faith ain't no just walking around. You supposed to know this because you know what's going on. What you gonna do when they murking niggas for having a book and you can't walk around with one? Or they won't allow you to download an app on your phone. It's supposed to already be inside of you. That man said the time is going to come when you're going to go to and fro throughout the earth looking for the word of you.
I really thought you were talking about what you just read.
Right.
No, the reason why I did because I mentioned one, but then the rest that was for you to draw off memory.
Right. Yeah, you got to, I didn't know that's what you were doing. I would have said it, Anyway, but.
Think about that. That man said there'll be a famine for the word. What you going to do? That's what I'm trying to tell you, right? Ain't nobody got no business being comfortable because you could die tonight. On your way to the house. Do you even think about that type of stuff? That the day could be your last day on this earth and you around here playing? If you have not attained the resurrection of the dead, you have accomplished nothing. Guess what? I ain't accomplished nothing. I've been doing this for 9 years. I ain't accomplished nothing because I'm still flesh and bones. I have not been clothed with my tabernacle from on high. I have accomplished nothing. I ain't did nothing. Because guess what? You could abstain for 10 years and commit a sin tomorrow and he could kill you dead in the street. Just like that. Just that quick, out of here. Because that's what he said he would do to you if you trusted in your own righteousness that you could go commit a sin. He said he'll kill you. It's okay, little Afro baby. Hold on, little Afro. Okay, y'all might got your little Afro baby. Let's go to John chapter 15. Matter of fact, don't even worry about John chapter 15. Let's sit back and let's look at that the desire will fail because man go to his long home and there's mourners in the streets. Revelation chapter 18. Now I ask this question because y'all right here in front of me. What do you think he means desire will fail? Because y'all don't enter my line of sight.
Desire will fail?
It says desire shall fall. As I said, fail. So remember the verse says, also when they shall be afraid of that which is high and fear shall be in the way. We've established that. And the almond tree shall flourish. We have established that. That desire and the grasshopper shall be a burden and desire shall fail. Because man go to his long home and mourners go about the streets. So what is this desire that is failing?
What, desire to know, the desire to learn?
Desire to humble yourself, seek, cry.
I will accept both of those. Let's look at this right here, right? I said Revelation 18, but I don't want Revelation 18 quite yet. Come over here to Revelation chapter 9, about verse 17. Because when we look at, when we look at desire, what did Yahuwah say to Cain and they would say to Cain after he killed Abel? Well, before he killed Abel, my apologies. When they made their sacrifices, did anybody know what Yahuwah said to Cain? He said, if thou do well, thou should be accepted. But if not, sin lie at the door, and that's where your what will be? Your desire. So he telling you desire is going to fail. So your lusts are going to fail in this day. And man's going to his long home. And there's going to be people weeping in the street. And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them having breastplates of fire, and jacinth and brimstone, and the heads of horses were as the heads of lions. And out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. By these were the third part of men killed by the fire, and by the smoke, and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouths. For their power was in their mouth and in their tails, for their tails were like unto serpents, and had heads, and with them they do hurt. And the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues, yet repented not of the works of their hands, that they should not worship devils, and idols of gold, and silver, and brass, and stone of wood, which can neither see, nor hear, nor walk. Neither they repented there of their murders, nor of their sorceries, nor of their fornications, nor of their thefts. So in the midst of Yahuwah, popping all these plagues on these people, they were still committing their sins. They still have their desire. So now when we look at that, even in the midst of being plagued, men still have their desire. So what can we take from this? When he say desire shall fail. At that point, not that they turn from sin, but when he's saying that desire of fail, now the time comes when the almond tree blossoms. Now when the time to come that men have feared because of what is on high, now sin will stop. How will sin stop? Hebrews chapter 9. Hello, Abigail. I cannot pick you up at this time. Just a little more. Hebrews 9 and 26. For then must he often have suffered since the foundation of the world, but now once in the end of the world have appeared to put away sin by the sacrifice of himself. As it is appointed unto men once to die, because remember, men go to their long homes. But after this the judgment. So Mashiach was once offered to bear the sins of many. Unto them that look for him shall he appear the second time without sin unto salvation. So when Yahushua appears the second time, the desire for sin is going to fail because he's going to do something. Let's look at Revelation 14 and then we get Revelation 18, and then I got to get back to the point on hand, but I had to deviate. and 6. Also another thing where you know that the time is near, as he said that this basar, this good news, will be preached in the four corners of the earth. Yahushua would be preached. Not you an Israelite, not keep the commandments. Yahushua HaMashiach will be preached in the four corners of the earth. That's when you know this man coming by. Because everybody going to hear it. Everybody going to know it. And he got people everywhere preaching it now. They may not be in large number, but in that day, they're going to be in large number relative to the people who not speaking it. Y'all gonna make sure everybody here. So all you niggas can die and go to hell expeditiously. Because he ain't gonna be playing with them. Because they're gonna be out here serving another God. See, y'all forgetting that part. The beast is gonna make an idol come to life and they're gonna be serving another God. Niggas around here skinning and grinning and playing. Like we can crack jokes, man, and talk about stuff that are no consequence. But at the end of the day, well, your life is on the line. Ain't nothing to be played with. Ain't nothing to be played with. That's why I mentioned that. See, that's why I mentioned that to y'all the other week too, right? Because you know what the biggest ploy, that the powers that be and the adversary like to use to get people to fall in line? Celebrities. Famous people. You know why? Because you stupid niggas hang on every word they say and everything they do, and you'll follow them straight to hell. Guess what? They took them little stinking white kids from down south and sent them out there talking about we want AR-15s off the street. And where they had them at an award show, iHeartRadio award show. What did these little white children there talking about AR-15 for? Because you stupid niggas will sit back and say, Big Sean riding with him. It got to be right. That's how stupid people are.
Hey.
That's why I always reiterate the fact you don't know these people.
They're real like this.
You don't know these people. You got to realize it's entertainment. What y'all always say about these people? They got an image to uphold. If it's an image, that means it ain't real. Now, I was telling you this earlier because y'all were talking about it last night. And I was dying laughing about it because you know, Pimp C a funny dude to me because he was dead serious. But like in that interview, and I was telling you about it earlier, he was like, yeah, man, I'm tired of these niggas spitting fake dope prices. That nigga say Young Jeezy ain't the only nigga telling fake dope prices. Niggas who was in the street know this nigga lying. Like, nigga know this nigga lying. So nigga around here, you lying, talking about you getting them 20 a key. Nigga know you ain't selling no dope. And niggas will argue that this man was selling dope. This nigga was selling nickel rocks, clearly. This nigga, matter of fact, Pimp was like this here, man. And I'm visiting for a reason. Pimp say, I know the niggas who was wearing Timberland boots with their pants leg rolled up in 1998. Because he was talking about that nigga. Because there's a picture of Jesus with his pants leg rolled up wearing Timberland boots in 1998. And all of a sudden, you a big time drug lord. And we believe it and we eat it up. That's why they trot him out there. That's why they try to. That's why they run athletes. Man, you know how much money J.J. Watt got them people to donate around here talking about some flood in Houston? That's why they trot them out there. Because they know you look to them. That's why they seek to control them and regulate them.
We won't get trade truth.
No, but you know why? Because he don't fool with them. Now Shayla said I can't use that word no more for the rest of the year, which means I can't say it again till next April, till next March. They gonna want your soul and your anus.
What anus?
Oh.
And when I really be saying that, really, because they want your manhood. They want to put you in a compromising position to compromise your manhood. Strict, because after that, you got to do what I say. You got to do what I say. Because they may not necessarily actually sodomize anyone. And they very well may do. I can't say they do or they don't. I know somebody is, but I can't say all of them. But they do something to emasculate you.
I feel like why they look so depressed and crazy. Like you got like they show celebrities before they get real big, and then after them niggas be high, they look like they literally they had their manhood taken.
Well, that's because they involved with the they may not have actually sold to the devil directly, but you dealing with people who serve Satan, who are asking you to do things of the adversary. So they're not, that point of the matter, like we read in in Revelation, they're not repenting of their sorceries. They're not repenting of their idol worship. They're not repenting of their fornication. The book tells you the way of transgressors is hard. So see, we sit back and look at it. They got millions of dollars. They got fame. How they ain't happy? Because they transgressors. So that way gonna be difficult for them. And it ain't just them. You got regular niggas living like this. It don't pay. Now I'm just using that as an example. When things hit the fan and they get ugly, you don't think that these people gonna use these same people who they know that people hearken to and listen to get you to go along with it? I put it to you like this here, right? And I hate to say it that way just because I see how people react, and I don't really have no umbrage against her specifically. But no, seriously though, if you see how people act, do you know what that woman could probably get people to do just because she does it?
Right, anything. She does get people to do anything.
And she don't even tell them.
No, honestly, who can with no music whatsoever?
Just think about it.
And you will pay $600-700 for a ticket. That's
not even that. They
it's
obsessed about her. She don't even say nothing.
That's the point, and that's my point.
Yeah.
So if this woman came out and said, "This man is the Messiah," do you know how many people would go along with that because this person said it?
Beyonce, that cut shot about Beyonce, boy.
Well, I'll be like, well, if everybody doing it, I already know it ain't the right thing.
We know that, but see, that's the difference of what I'm talking about.
These niggas so woke now. She came out with a little.
Well, no, she's not the reason for that. They've been.
But
on
I'm
that.
saying, now these women, she didn't let Nefertiti, whatever she was.
But niggas had been on that. All she did with that is jump on something that niggas was already doing.
Yeah, they were doing that with Queen Latifah.
They been doing that. I'm talking about you. They been doing that.
Beyonce.
when she did the little performance and she dressed up like an African deity and all that there, because what they do is, don't get it twisted, these white folks watch and see what niggas is into, and they will trot their little minions out there to mimic what niggas is into to keep you to stay in it or to perpetuate it more. All that. They do that. You gotta understand, right? Y'all know this here, right? D, you took marketing in school, didn't?
Deidre. I don't.
Well, anybody know about marketing? What's one of the first classes they ask you to take? D, when you go to school for college for marketing, what's one of the first classes they ask you to take?
Oh, I didn't take marketing.
PR.
Oh, I thought you were talking about.
PR.
They take you to take psychology.
That was the same major.
Yeah, 17, because they definitely do. The reason being is marketing is about knowing the human mind. Marketing has nothing to do with a product. Nothing.
Well, yeah, you can teach.
If you sit back and you actually pay attention to every commercial you've ever watched, you will see that they try to elicit some type of emotion for you to relate to it to make you want to purchase this product or buy this service or buy this food. It's always something to tap into your mind. Nobody just don't put this out here. Any good marketer elicits an emotion from you. Not, I got shoes. Buy them from me. You're not buying that. You're not buying that. Guess what? How did they turn around to get niggas to buy Gatorade? I dreamed that he is me. They had nothing to do with no sports drink. They had grown niggas around here singing, I want to be like Mike. Little kids talking about they want to be like Mike. And niggas turn into Gatorade customers for life. That had nothing to do with Gatorade. Nothing. That's something as simple as that. Just something as simple as that. I don't see a lot of commercials these days, so I can't speak on any new ones. But I just mentioned that one because everybody knows that song. You niggas wasn't even cognizant enough at an age to even know that jingle, and y'all know it. Nigga, Michael Jordan ain't played in almost 20 years. Nigga still, but I ain't talking about this re-release. This nigga still putting out shoes and niggas buying.
Yep.
I ain't talking about no re-releases. I'm talking about that nigga put a new pair out every year and niggas still buying. This nigga ain't played. None of you niggas in here probably seen this nigga play live. Cause y'all were young. That nigga stopped playing in 1998. Came back and played for a couple years after that. Y'all was still small. Then most of y'all, if you didn't have cable, most niggas ain't had cable, so they didn't see this nigga play.
Don't remember.
I was gonna say I want my tickets and watch them.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm just sitting the fact that niggas never saw this man play for the most part. Do you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about? So it's the emotional thing that they elicit, and I'm mentioning that because that's what Satan does. He tries to elicit to touch you emotionally, carnally, for you to come after him. Guard your heart. Nevertheless, Revelation 14:6. And I saw another Malachim fly in the midst of shamayim, having the everlasting basar, to preach unto them that dwell on their rats, and to every nation, kindred, and tongue, and people, saying with a loud voice, Fear Elohim, and give esteem to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made shamayim and the rats, and the sea, and the fountains, and the waters. See, that's what it come down to. Do you fear Elohim? Because if you fear Elohim, when this man Rav come, he gonna make your desire fail. Ain't gonna be no more desire for sin. Then it's gonna be too late. But let's go to Revelation 18. Let's look and see these people mourning in the streets. (18:10). Well, I'm at 133. I got to keep going though, even though it's 10:47. Standing afar off, the fear of her torment. Alas, alas. We'll make that verse 8. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death, mourning, and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is Yahuwah Elohim who judge her. And the maliks of the Arats, who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her, shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour thy judgment is come. And the merchants of the Arats shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buy their merchandise anymore. The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stone and of pearls and fine linen, purple and silk and scarlet, all thy fine wood, all manner of vessels of ivory, all manners of vessels of precious wood and of brass and of iron and marble. Drop down to verse 15. And the merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, saying, Alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen, purple and scarlet, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. For when not 1 hour so great riches is come to naught, and every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors and as many as trade by the sea stood afar off, and when they cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, What city is like unto this great city? Do you know that he's doing exactly to them what they did to Yahusha? Where the people were standing all crying about him and saying who is like unto him? Because that's why he say, render unto them as they've rendered unto us. But you see, they mourning decently. And why are they mourning? Because now your desire has failed. Because you said you lived deliciously and you sat as a queen and you'll see no torment, and now your burden is come, and now you go to your long home, which is the grave.
I ain't gonna lie, that just made me think about Lil Duval.
What Lil Duval did?
Cause he just be like, I ain't got no stress. I ain't really got nothing going. I'm good. I'm living life. Right? Yeah, that's how he.
Yeah, and because you know Lil Duval don't believe in nothing.
So he ain't Buddha now.
That nigga believe in everything.
Which means he believe in nothing. When you believe in everything, you believe in nothing.
Yeah.
Because I know exactly what post you talking about. That nigga sure throw Buddha up there in a heartbeat.
But have on his life, Hebrew train.
And what them niggas sat back and said too. See, he woke, he don't hear brew. That's all. See, and that's what I mean. That's how dumb niggas is. Because look how niggas act about Chingy and Maya, or the nigga from Boys to Men. Sean Stockman is his name, but I don't think y'all know which one I'm talking about. That was the one with the fade, skinny dark skinned nigga with the fade.
What?
I mean, you at least know who Boy the Men is. Then you got Wanye, the one who can really sing. You got the nigga with the glasses.
You know the tall dark.
You got the nigga with the deep voice.
Yeah.
And then you got the skinny nigga who dark skinned. That's Sean Stockman. That nigga part of ISUPK. Got a nigga posted a picture the other day. These celebrities knew they was Hebrew. Whitney Houston. Whitney going to hell. Bobby Brown. Bobby on coke. Still. We ain't gonna say that though. We not gonna slander that man's name. Y'all forbid he on coke.
Y'all forbid he got young children again.
Indeed, I was finna get that. That nigga definitely been humping around. But
now he got married before Whitney died.
Yes, he did.
They got two kids together.
Yes, he did. Which he's absolved from that adultery because she's dead.
Yeah.
Nigga daughter dead.
Well, one of his daughters, because he got other children.
Yeah. His oldest daughter. No, that's right. He got a daughter for her.
I was about to say.
I forgot about that. Nigga got a lot of churn.
That was his baby.
He got a lot of churn. Nigga made a song called Humping Around. He wasn't playing no game.
Mari, come here.
That's why I sent you that thing, because you see they finna make a movie just by him.
Come here, Mari.
You didn't even look at it just.
I knew that already. I looked at it, but I followed the dude that's about to play him.
Yeah, I should have known
Because
that.
he played him in New Edition.
Yeah, I know it. I don't know why I thought you weren't aware of that. That was dumb on my part. But think about that though. They were throwing Reggie White out there. Reggie White knew he was a Hebrew before he died. That's why I say that that's all they got to do. They could trot a nigga out there with a Hebrew chain and some fringes on his outfit, mention the little Hebrew words and key statements, nigga follow right behind him. That's how dumb niggas is. I done heard niggas say we need to get one of these rappers with the truth. You know how many people they could reach? Nigga was really happy about Waka Flocka. Waka Flocka wasn't talking about nothing. These niggas seen Nick Cannon with a turban on and swore he knew he was a brew. This nigga around here talking about Krishna.
these niggas
Cause he had on a turban and a dashiki. He woke, cuz.
Nah. That nigga woke and got a new child and somebody got a pajama.
You but the point I'm looking at is that nobody looks at what did Mashiach say you're knowing by they what? Fruit. Same difference. You know what I'm talking about? And ain't nobody looking at that. What are they looking at? Outward appearance. He looked righteous. He talked righteous.
Don't be looking righteous.
But them niggas don't live righteous.
Don't be looking righteous either.
Yeah, you ain't never lied.
Nigga got a turban on. That nigga what? Oh, I thought that nigga was a Muslim.
That nigga's son.
Right.
What is looking righteous?
Where your fringes at, brother? Where your capris at?
That's what I'm saying. That's to me. That ain't nothing.
Lil Muffin know what I'm talking
That's
about.
the opposite.
Where your sandals at, brother? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about too, don't? Yeah, that's that Boondocks when they say, where your capris at, brother? Where your sandals at? You're not part of the movement, brother. Nigga come up on you, where your garments at, Where your fringes at, Where is your mitri? Straight up and down. We don't want to go out like that. And the last part of Ecclesiastes 12, so let me get to what we need to get to. He said, verse 6, or ever the silver cord be loosed, or the golden bowl be broken, or the pitcher be broken at the fountain, or the wheel, or broken at the cistern, shall the dust return to the earth as it was, and the Ruach shall return unto Elohim who gave it. Because when we looking at man returning to his long home, when Yahushua coming through, he's sending these niggas to the grave. But when they cry out, they not going to be heard. Why are they not going to be heard? Because when he sent that Malachim out to tell these people to humble themselves, they continue to serve the beast. They continue to serve their own lust. So when Yahushua cracked that sky open, their desire is going to fail. And it's going to be mourners in the streets weeping for them. I shall weep not. Hopefully Yahuwah will and I be counted worthy enough to send these niggas to their grave. Psalm 72. I'm sorry. Job 30. Because all that came out of Job 30 and 19. Job 30 and 20. It says, I cry unto thee, and thou dost not hear. Hear me. I stand up, and thou regard me not. So again, there goes that Shava. You crying out for help. Thou art become cruel to me. With thy strong hand thou oppose thyself against me. Thou lift me up to the wind. Thou cause me to ride upon it, and dissolve my substance. For I know that thou will bring me to death, and to the house appointed for all living. You see how he say that man go back to his long home? Because his long home started when he made Adam from the dust. That's why I mentioned that. Dust you came, dust you gonna return. This man say, I know that thou will bring me to death. See, I don't think y'all sit back and realize. I think about it all the time. Now the difference is sometimes, and I'm not saying that's how they died, but sometimes, I've told y'all that before, it's like I can see how somebody I know who done passed took their last breath. It's real weird. Then sometimes they think about what is it going to be like when I take my last breath and the lights go out. Do you know what I'm saying? And your thoughts stop. Like, that junk was wild when I seen that clip when Cuz got shot in the head. He ain't died, but you can see just how instantly it is when the lights go out. Just like that. Cuz was like this here, that bullet hit his head and it's just like that. Just like that. You know what I'm saying? I think they said Cuz on life support.
We talking about
Close range. Yeah.
I said he was off the top.
Yeah, I mean, that's the last I seen. They say he was on life support. I can believe it. Niggas take that's why I told you it was a 9. You know what I'm saying? You can take a 9 bullet to the head and live.
I was saying,
It's
there's a girl that got shot with a shotgun in her head still, but some white girl.
Shoot, my homeboy got hit with an AK-47 and lived. No, he get hit in the head. He got hit in the body. And that nigga lived. He got a permanent limp. But that nigga lived. That nigga got a permanent limp. Because that AK-47, that 7.62 milliliter open you up. You know what I'm saying? Okay, that's nevertheless, because we don't really care about all the extra stuff. What we talking about on that is the fact that if you seen it, you seen how fast that nigga went from lights on to how fast them lights can go out. You know what I'm saying? Because that mess around like this here. Because I'm like, man, shoot. Death ain't no joke. He said, howbeit, listen what he said, howbeit, he will not stretch out his hand to the grave, though they cry in his destruction. So he said, he not going to pull nobody out the grave. Did I not weep for him that was in trouble? Was not my soul grieved for the poor? Now when he turned around, he said his soul was grieved. He said his soul was grieved. The word for grieve is agam, to be grieved. You got the, we're looking at, you got the aleph, the gamal, and the meme. If we look at Gamal, we're going to sit back and look at the strength. Let me see what we'll use for Gamal. I don't want to say carried away or feet. We probably don't have to. All the time. We sit back and look at lift. So because of that grieving, he's able to lift you to the water, or lift you to the Ruach, or lift you to power. The strength that lifts you to power because you agreed. Because remember, he said, you blessed are they that are mourned, for they'll be comforted. And he turned around and he said, was it not his soul grieved for the poor, which is the Evion, which is those who have the power of the Son's work of sacrifice to life. He said, when I looked for good, then evil came unto me. When I waited for light, there came darkness. My bowels boiled and rested not. The days of affliction prevented me. When I look at this word prevented, it is kadam. And it means to meet or to confront. You see what that says? To lead, also to anticipate or to know beforehand. So what do y'all think this means when he say, my bowels boiled and rested not, because the days of affliction beforehand I anticipate. He's anticipating affliction. What you think that could be telling us, Shayla? He's anticipating the days of affliction. You burping or you trying to get her to go to sleep? No, I just see it because she's patting on the bottom. What you think that means, D-Ray? Say he's anticipating the days of his affliction.
Anticipating the days of
John, what you think that means when he say he anticipate his bowels boiled and rested not? How many of y'all ever had so much stuff on your mind you couldn't go to sleep? No, I say his bowels boiled and rested not. The days of my affliction have confronted me. Well, let's look and see. Let's see. Now, ain't no bubble guts. Let's look and see. Matthew chapter 26. Matthew chapter 26. Remember, this is he's talking about somebody who's crying out, who's about to suffer, who has not been done wrong, and he's humbling and lowering himself, and he's anticipating dying. Now he say the days of his affliction are about to confront him. He's already anticipated and knew this day would come. Matter of fact, before we read that, yeah, okay, I'm in the right spot. Matthew chapter 26. I don't want to use that. 26:1, and then I move my way around. And it came to pass when Yahushua finished all these things, he said unto his disciples, you know that after 2 days is the feast of the Passover, and the Son of Man is betrayed to be crucified. Now I'm asking y'all a question. What did Yahushua say to Peter that made him say, what did Peter say to Yahushua, that made Yahushua say, get behind me, Satan?
So he wouldn't have to die.
He told him that he wouldn't die. So what did Yahushua tell them? Didn't he tell them that he was going to die? So that means when we get over here to Matthew chapter 26, that means that he's getting ready to do what? That now the days of his affliction that he is anticipating is before him. I've been waiting for this, which is what he just told him in verse 2. My time has come because I've been waiting on this. Because he said his hand ain't going to stretch to get me out the grave. This is how this, and that's going back to what we looking at when his flesh say what? Let this cup pass. Because the flesh is saying he ain't going to stretch his hand and take you out of this grave. He didn't hear your cry when you say, Father, in thy hand I commend my Ruach. He ain't going to hear it. Matthew chapter 26 and verse 36. Then come Yahusha with them unto a place called Jessamine, and he said unto the disciples, sit ye here while I go and pray yonder. And he took with him Peter and the two sons of Zebedee, and began to be sorrowful and very heavy. Then he saith unto them, my soul is exceedingly sorrowful, even unto death. Tarry ye here and watch with me. Does that not sound like? Does that not sound like his bowels boiled and rested not? What did his apostles, what did his disciples do when he was up there praying? What they turned around and did? They went to sleep. Did he go to sleep? His bowels wouldn't let him rest. When did he actually rest? When he gave up the Ruach. Now I can rest. The work is finished. And that's my point of what I was mentioning earlier. When you humble yourself and you sitting at it, it's like you, as long as you breathing, it's like you on the stake the whole time. Then when you ready to be delivered up, like Paul said, I fought the good fight, then you can rest. Because now the work is finished. The work is not finished until your time on this earth is over. Job 30 and 28. And see how it ties in verse 28, what he finna tell you. He says, I went mourning without the sun. I stood up and I cried in the congregation. We already read it in Luke chapter 23. When he was on the stake, what happened? It went dark. He was tied up in among the congregation and he was sorrowful without the sun. There was no light. And that's how you feel when you in affliction. You feel like everything is dark around you and you sad, and they take you back to he delivers the poor and needy because they rely on the power of that sacrifice to give them life. He said, I'm a brother to dragons and a companion to owls. What do y'all think he mean when he said he a companion to dragons, which would be a serpent? How is he a companion to a serpent? The word is tadim, and it means sea monster or serpent or a venomous snake. How is he a brother to a serpent? And it's out now a strong defense, right? That's what it means. A brother is a strong defense. He say he a companion, a friend or a fellow or another person or a fellow citizen. How is Yahusha a brother and a companion to the devil?
I say he called not the righteous but the wicked to repent.
Okay. Shayla, you got an answer for that? Dwight, you got an answer for that?
Say it again.
How is Yahusha a friend and a companion of the serpent or the devil?
Jump down, bro.
Where Deidre at? She went in the back.
I
Put the
guess
baby
because,
down.
like, he used them as his sword. That's the only thing I'm thinking of.
Okay. Hold on. Where Will at? See, they ain't heard that. They ain't living back there. No, they ain't. They ain't living back
Back of the bus.
there. In the back of the butt. They don't know what's going on.
Ask you a question.
How is Yahusha a friend and a companion of the serpent? Who can answer that question? Little mother, can you answer that question?
I was gonna say because he actually experienced death.
And that is the answer.
What'd you say?
Oh wow, I saw that.
What'd you say?
Because he, what does Satan have power over? Death. So when Yahusha died, what did he become a companion and a friend of? When Yahusha got on the stake, what did he become? So therefore he has become a friend and a companion of the serpent. Because what did Satan rule? Say Satan was a liar from the beginning and never abode in the faith. He was always a sinner. He was always a transgressor. So in that instance, while he was sinning in the grave, he was his friend and his companion. Which the same token of, when you look at Romans 6, we were once friends and companions and brothers to the serpent. And then Yahusha set that free. Did you catch that? Okay, so we can ask you too. See what you say. It says in verse 29 of Job 30 that he's a brother to the serpent and a companion to owls. How is Yahushua a companion to the devil? How is he a friend to the devil? You don't have an answer? The answer is because he died. Because Satan had power over death. So those 3 days when he was in the grave, he was a brother unto him. Why was he a brother unto him? Because he became sin. Not that he committed sin for a smarty art nigga, but he became sin. So therefore, because he became sin, then he became one with sin. Or so by definition, he said, who is my brother and who is my sister and who is my father? He that do the will of Elohim. Whoever you yield your member servants to obey is to whom you obey. So when he became sin, by definition of the text, he became a brother to a serpent. Remember, in the context of what we're looking at in verse 28, where he say he was mourning without the sun, because that means when he was on the stage and he became sin and he cried in the congregation, because he cried, and we already read that in Luke 23, in the context of his bowels not resting because the days of his affliction were made at hand. How was the only way Yahushua was going to defeat the devil? He had to become what the devil was, which was death, which was sin. It says the soul that sinned, it shall what? Die. So when he became sin, Yahushua had to do what? Die. What is that doing? Him humbling himself. Him making himself lowly and afflicted. Therefore Elohim could lift him up and bring him power to defeat the very man who he became equal with. 1 John 3:8 say he that commits sin is of who? The devil. But this cause the Son of Elohim was manifested that he might destroy the works of the devil. So in order to destroy the devil, he had to become a brother of the devil. See, somebody hear that and say, oh, that nigga's blaspheming. No, you just stupid. That's all. You're not paying attention. You heard, how is Yahushua a brother to the devil, and automatically inclined your mind to thinking somebody's talking about Yahushua was evil or committing sin. No, he performed an act that made him equal with him until what? 3 days later. 3 days later, I'm no longer your brother. You have been vanquished and defeated. Because now I'm no longer sin. I'm alive under Elohim for becoming sin, but more better, dying to sin. So therefore that each and every last one of you can have the righteousness of Elohim if you believe on his name. Don't the book say if you suffer with him, you're what? So why you ain't suffering with him then? Why you not humbling yourself and making yourself low and being afflicted for him then? He said you blessed if you do it. See, people read that Matthew 5, but nobody don't want to actually put into action the things to do, the things to say that'll make you blessed. Niggas fight persecution. See, that's what I mentioned, like you mentioned yesterday, last night, right? A different type of temptation. Niggas persecuting you, slandering you, this, that. Your natural inclination is to defend yourself if you ain't did nothing wrong. But if you know Yahuwah, you're going to let that nigga have that, and you're going to rejoice because that means your name written in heaven. You know how hard niggas go to try to make it look like somebody persecuting them? Nigga, ain't nobody persecuting you, nigga. He told the truth. He persecuting me, he persecuting me. They don't want to see me shine. See, they hating on me. Do you know how weak-minded niggas is that if you give a simple, what's the word? Constructive criticism or a critique of something, nigga take it personal, first thing nigga want to scream, nigga hating on them? Cause all niggas want niggas out here to do is give them some fellatio. Ain't nobody finna be doing that to you, nigga. Kissing behind. Nobody don't clean booty holes around here, man. We grown people. We gonna tell you the truth. Well, nah, when we say clean booty holes, we not talking about using wipes. But you are correct. You do clean booty holes, and your children let them go, especially that hefty one. That young nigga need to learn how to use the toilet. Nah, not no pot. That nigga need to sit on the toilet, use toilet paper, and flush.
That nigga need to step. He gotta get a step.
Cause boy, that nigga let pools go that grown people ain't letting go. Faithfully. I'm talking about boy, that stank, boy.
High fiber diet.
That boy, that stink, boy. God, I forgot where y'all wore that one day at. I said, boy, shoot. I hope these niggas come back soon. Cause I said, boy, if they ain't back in the next 30 minutes, I'm gonna have to change them. And then guess what? Y'all came through the door. I said, look at y'all. You need to get it.
Look at y'all.
She did put him in back. She ain't my lad though. I said, well, you need to get that nigga. That nigga stink. You know what I'm talking about?
Give me instant migraine.
Cause boy, I ain't gonna tell you no lie. That's what I had in my mind. If these niggas ain't here in 30 minutes, boy, I'm gonna have to go in. Boy, please to God, let these people come through this door. Boy, I'm not trying to touch this nigga. This nigga stink. You know?
That would have been a sight to see.
Oh, it wouldn't be my first time to do a blowout, but I don't look forward to it. Shoot, I remember the last time he did you one. You said, "Oh, screw that boy, I gotta put you in the bathtub." But you know that bad nigga take a dump, and they gotta put you in the bathtub.
Yeah.
Nigga just look at this diaper, just screw it. Just put this nigga in the bathtub. This is kid in the bathtub.
Definitely had to do that.
Oh, I see. But that nigga, I'm talking about, boy, that nigga poo so stank, and then I'm move on. That nigga poo so stank, you smell that nigga for he be like, oh, you like, somebody please come get me.
And then I don't even get mad no more. I just be like, oh, God.
You can't be mad at him, it's natural.
I get a whole attitude.
Shoot, I would too if you smell it. It don't even be the it's the smell. That's grown people stuff.
You don't even have to see him.
That's the part.
Yeah.
You ain't gotta see it. That nigga wearing the back, boy. You done. Now you gotta go in the back and mentally prepare yourself to go in this diaper.
It's definitely a mental process.
I know it. You think I'm lying? I done seen it. Shoot, I had to mentally prepare myself for you to take it off.
You have to calm yourself down.
I'm talking about, boy, that nigga shot past me. I said, dang, that nigga stink. That's when y'all went to buy the bourbon. That's when y'all, I said, boy, they need to come on. This nigga stink.
I'm just glad he ain't no girl, because that would be terrible to leave.
Oh, I definitely would have waited for it if it was a girl. You gonna have to clean these cracking crevices.
Yeah. That's no problem.
I ain't getting all of them cracking crevices. No, sir. Shoot, he could have been my own. That could have been my own daughter. I'm gonna wait for your mom to get here and do that. They know how to clean vagina. I don't know how to clean them.
What if you can get off like that? Take a bath.
Take a bath.
Sit in the water.
In the water. I ain't even pulling no wipes out. We just gonna use this rag and we just gonna put it in the trash can. We ain't gonna tell your mama. We ain't gonna tell your mama. She gonna be like, where my good rags at? We ain't even tell you like that. We around here like little kids. I don't know.
We had a whole 30 minutes to talk about Marco.
It's a strong topic. Verse 30. Just like what it said in verse 30, that's what it make you do. My skin is black upon me and my bones are burned with heat. That's what that nigga poop make you do. That's that furnace of affliction, though, when he talking about being burned with heat. He say, my heart also is torn to mourning and my organ into the voice of them that weep. And that takes you back to when they sung that hymn before he got ready to die. That's something that was turned into a joyous occasion, got turned into sadness. Psalm 72. Because Psalm 72 is the last place that I had for us, because we did first Samuel 2, that I had about being poor in spirit, and I need to finish it. I mean, we ain't running long because we started late. So we would be running long if we started on time. But we didn't, so we're not. Verse 13 of Psalm 72. He shall spare the poor and needy. He shall save the souls of the needy. He shall redeem their soul from deceit. Now that word deceit is tok. And it's injury, oppression, or the oppressor. So that takes us again to him being a brother of the serpent. And he said he'll redeem him from the... Remember, we talked about who was doing the oppressing. The devil was doing the oppressing. So when he's telling you this here, he's redeeming you. Again, that's the Acts 26. To turn you from Hashatan to Elohim, from darkness to light, so you can receive forgiveness of sins. Because he's coming to deliver you from the oppressor. Or if you look at if it's the word is tok or talk, how would we spell that, Deidre? It's tok, and it's just two characters, T-O-K, because the sun came in my hair. So. And what was it? It's going to be the talk. And Ta would be what? Mark of covenant, right? And then the K gonna be what? The Kaf, right? Or the hole in the palm of the hand, or the covenant of death. And remember what we looked at in Isaiah 28? I will disannul your covenant with what? Death. So when Yahushua became a friend of the serpent, and now he said, I'm redeeming you from the deceit, from deceit or from the oppressor, I'm redeeming you from your covenant with death. That covenant of death was established when Eve did what? Hearken unto the serpent. So now I'm coming to redeem you from this agreement that you've made with the grave because you continually sin. So those who humble themselves, as Yahushua did, he is able to redeem them from that grave or from that oppressor. That's why we mention this all the time about mortifying your members, taking your state, and even more specifically this week, humbling yourself and afflicting yourself, which takes us back to the stuff we were talking about grace, about mercy, about long suffering, because all that is tying it back to that. Because he's extending you that because he redeemed only the poor. See, remember, this is only for the humble. See, this ain't for everybody else. This is why Yahushua say, I don't pray for the world. I pray for them. I'm not praying for this proud nigga over here. Pray for him for what? Nigga ain't living. Nigga ain't coming to make no. Nigga ain't beseeching me to make intercession on his behalf. People like, boy, nigga like pray for the people to wake up. When did Yahushua tell anybody to pray for niggas to wake up? When did Yahushua ever tell anybody to pray for somebody to come out of sin? Is that what he said? He never said it. You know what he did say? Pray for them who injure you or despitefully use you. Said pray for the righteous. You know what I'm talking about? He said pray for one another. He didn't tell you to pray the nigga wake up there in Israelite or pray for a nigga to stop sinning. How is this? How are we going to pray? Lord, please tell that brother to stop sinning. That man ain't gonna do that. Guess what he got? Like, the same thing is said in Luke. They got the Moses and the prophets. That nigga better read that. My prayer ain't gonna get you to stop sinning, because he ain't gonna magically come down and say, he prayed for you, brother, and I've come to tell you not to sin. No, that's not what's gonna happen. That's not what's gonna happen. Is that what's gonna happen? That ain't what's gonna happen. Guess what's gonna happen? I love Yah, so I'ma stop. I fear Yah, so I'ma stop. I believe Yah, so I'ma stop. And I'm going to humble myself under his mighty hand and be afflicted according to his word, that I may reign with his son. That's what I'm going to do. That's stupid stuff. See, that's Christian stuff. And niggas swear they're Hebrew. You got to pray for that brother Ak that he wake up. I ain't got to pray for nothing. That ain't what he told me to do. And a nigga hear that and think, man, that's cold-blooded. No, it ain't. Where have you ever seen anybody? It's the only time anybody prayed at any time for anybody was for y'all to forgive somebody. It was never to get nobody to stop sinning. It was to make intercession that y'all would forgive somebody. Or he would deliver somebody. It wasn't, Lord, please, y'all, get him to stop sinning. You even have people be like this here, right? You should pray for your husband if he's stupid. You know what I'm saying? Shoot, just pray like this here. You know what you're supposed to pray for? Y'all bust that nigga upside his head, get his mind right. You know what I'm talking about? Ain't that what it say? Say you pray for him. Don't pray for him. Because y'all can't pray sense into nobody. Something has to occur to you for that to happen. He has to afflict you. He has to humble. That's what you're supposed to pray. Y'all humble that nigga. That's what you ought to do. Put some humility in his heart. And if you praying for him to put some humility in his heart, that means you asking y'all to kick that nigga straight in the nuts. You get humble real quick, somebody kicks you in the genitals. Your voice get high. You hunch over and bend over and you in pain. That's what affliction from Yahuwah like, getting kicked in the genitals. I don't think nobody looked to get kicked in the genitals. Well, I don't know if it hurts y'all like it hurt a man. It hurts y'all if somebody kick y'all in the genitals?
Never been kicked in the
I'm pretty sure it hurt.
I mean, if you ever fell on a bike, it hurt.
Yeah, it definitely hurt.
Yeah, that would be akin. It like this here.
But not on the bike.
No, you ain't ever fell on a middle bar trying to get off a bike.
Oh my life.
Oh.
Oh,
Okay, I remember.
Devastating.
yeah, it's terrible.
Devastating.
I still think it's worse for a mill. Just throwing that out there.
That's like a
What he said?
bar.
So I still think it's worse for a mill.
I mean, you wouldn't know. Shoot.
It very well may be worse, but I know it. I don't know how bad it hurts.
I can't say if it's worse or not because I don't have balls.
Oh,
It's
it's
like-
horrible. It's horrible.
But I know.
I will say
It hurts
from
me.
I know from they saying from scientific studies, a man getting kicked in his genitals, they say is
Right, a whole
comparable
body.
to a woman giving birth.
You try to walk off, but it's
Yeah. Breaking pelvis bone.
So they talking about the pain that the man feels when he gets kicked in his genitals is comparable to a woman giving birth.
It's a different.
Yeah, right. Probably a contraction.
I don't like that.
No, they were measuring it to the level of pain.
Yeah, the pain level.
The pain level. Not the act itself, but they were like the pain level.
Yeah, hitting that bike bar. Yeah, it's up there.
Yeah, imagine a male hitting that bike boy.
It's up there.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
And something I read, it was like
But I read that too.
it was like a woman. See, a woman when she give childbirth, after a while she was like, you know what? I want to have another kid. You'll never meet another man that say I want to get kicked in the gonads.
Yeah, you'll never meet a man say that. I'm ready to go do that
I
again.
never want
I'm not one of them.
Me,
I just want to get pregnant again. No.
Clearly, that's not true because you keep having sex. So clearly, you want to get pregnant again.
Yeah.
If I had a choice.
Moving on.
So this is an uncomfortable topic for you.
No, we just don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm just gonna move on.
Indeed. And we shall. He shall redeem their soul from deceit and violence, and precious shall their blood be in his sight. And he tells you that in another place in Psalms. And let's look at how precious that blood is. Hebrews chapter 1. 11, I'm sorry. Hebrews 11 and 1. Now faith is substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. For by it the elders obtained a good report. Through faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of Elohim, so that things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. By faith Abel offered unto Elohim a more excellent sacrifice than Cain, by which he obtained witness that he was righteous, Elohim testifying of his gifts, and by it being dead yet speak. What does he mean, y'all, when he said being dead he yet speaks?
Blood cried out.
His blood cried out, because that's what it said in Genesis. And guess what he said? That so knowing the law, was not Abel's blood precious in Yahuwah's sight? When Yahusha got hit in his side, what came out? I know it's a simple. I know y'all know the answer. Blood and water, and that blood was precious in his sight to the point that what? He redeemed his soul from the oppressor and violence. Because we already read it in Acts 13. So you gotta understand something. When Jeremiah was locked up and they said they were gonna kill him, does anybody know what Jeremiah told them people? This is Jeremiah 26 if you want to read on your own time. Does anybody know what he told them? Does anybody in the back know what he told them? When Jeremiah was locked up and they told him they were going to kill him, does anybody know what Jeremiah told these people? He told these people, if you slay me, you will have what on your hands? Innocent blood. What did Pilate do when they came to kill Mashiach? He said, I wipe my hands of this here. This nigga blood ain't on me, cuz. Now, even though Pilate didn't know that, if you are a righteous person, male or female, didn't the man say your every hair on your head is numbered? So if somebody lay their hands on you and they spill your blood, that blood precious in that man's eyesight, and he coming to see him. Meaning, he gonna resurrect you from the dead. When we look at precious, it's your car. It's something that is esteemed, that is valuable, that is prized, that is costly. You spell it Y-A-Q-A-R. So what three characters will we have for that? I knew you should have the first one, Shayla. What will we have for the next one, Deidre? Your car. Yeah, Y-A-Q-A-R. Not the car. The coupe. And then, of course, we would end with the Rosh. So, if we look at something as precious, knowing that Yod means right hand, work, actions, what in that would be coming in to be being that would make you precious? In his eyesight, looking at Yod. Remember, right? We got arm, hand, work, actions to throw, worship, or deed. Which one do you think would be suitable? It could be deeds. It could be worship. Because what did he tell you that he seeks for those to worship him? And what? Spirit and truth. The next thing when we look at Kaf, you got sun of the horizon, light, circle, time, behind, back of the head, final, least, or condense. I would say we would take light for that. And when we come around and we get over here to this Rosh, what would we use, Deidre? I just thought you said that based off of that.
No,
Clearly
I
you're
was
reading something else.
Like
I know
Jeremiah
that.
was telling the people.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe ask somebody else. They alive over there.
No, I figured that's what you were doing based off of the sound effect. Because clearly you see he went hard. No, I mean, she running.
Thought you would call on me while I was in the midst of.
Yeah, I only did it because of the. I say she had to catch that mean part where he was snapping decent. Because he definitely was snapping decent. When we look at that Rosh, we got a man's head, a first, the top, the chief, the highest, the most important.
What do we use for y'all?
Y'all will use worship. So you worship the light of the highest. That's what makes you precious and esteemed and valuable in his eyesight. Because you worship the light of the highest. And Yahushua said he is the light of the world. And therefore, if you worship something, that means you reverence it, or you bow down to it, or you humble yourselves under the mighty hand of Elohim, which is Yahushua HaMashiach, and he'll lift you up in due time. Where we at? So, that's what makes your blood precious. And that's why I mentioned, see, sometimes I throw the answers out there in other spots before I ask y'all. So, when we look at John 4, and he said, Elohim is a Ruach, and he seeks as those that worship him in Ruach and in truth, because those are the people that he seeketh to worship him. Now, the book says in Proverbs that, okay, for the lack of the law is the truth, or the law is the mot, or the law is the firmness, the faithfulness. Then another place it says the law is what? Light. So when you turn around and look at that, you're worshiping the light, or you're serving in faith of the highest, which means you serving him in Ruach and in truth. And again, if we're looking at Ruach and in truth, he said what? I commend my Ruach into your hand, so therefore I commend my breath into the works that will allow me to enter into your house. Because this is how you worship, which means you completely giving yourself over. And the only way you can do that is to get into a humble and low estate. To completely give yourself over. Because this way of service is not difficult. It comes down to one simple thing. And that is desire. That's desire. See, Yahushua's desire was to Yahuwah. That's why he said, whoever you yield your member servants to obey, that's why he said, and your desire will be to your husband. That's why he told you that. Because your desire, and I ain't talking about naturally. You know what I'm saying? I told you this before, right? If a nigga say, I'm godly, I want a godly spouse, then that means your desire is really to your husband in heaven, because you desire a spouse that is the image of him. You know what I'm talking about? But we say that, but see, I'm using this for Yashua. We said our desire was to Yahuwah, but we wanted Ashtaroth. We wanted Baal. So really our desire was to ourselves. See, that's the point. Because if you say, and that's why I use it in natural sense, you say, I'm a godly man, I'm a godly woman, I want a godly spouse. But if you choose a godly spouse, that means that in actuality, in reality, your desire was always to your husband in heaven. Because you picked a companion that was as he is.
That's just crazy, because I feel like when I met William, I really didn't know y'all. Like, I didn't have no type of relationship until I met William.
Praise the Lord.
That's crazy.
And some stuff you do is not like to say now. Now, of course, you talking about a scenario where you didn't know, but the scenario.
I mean, what I thought I knew, it wasn't real.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you didn't know.
I didn't know what that real love for y'all was supposed to feel like.
Like, cause we just talked about it earlier. You didn't know. You thought you knew, but you didn't know. But see, we talking about you know. See, Yasharal knew. They knew. He had Moses teach him. They said the priesthood was still in effect. There were prophets walking around. They knew. Do you know what I'm saying? And they said, I want to be married to this godly man. My desire is to my husband. But then they wanted Baal. Then they wanted Ashtaroth. Then they wanted Tammuz. Then they wanted this. So in actuality, by that action, you never wanted, your desire was never to your husband. Your desire was always to yourself. Because the minute we came in the wilderness, we sought to do what? Serve ourselves. We violated the Genesis 3 and 16 because our desire was never to our husband. We never had a desire for him. So that's why I say that naturally, because we talking about people who profess to be godly before they get married. Not I got married and became godly later, or I was talking with this person and what I thought I knew, and now I know better. You are solidified now according to your profession. And you say, this is what I want. Because remember he say, conforming someone to the image of the son of Elohim. So it says, the law says that Yahusha is in the express image of Yahuwah's person. So then if you say you godly, period, then you would want somebody who is in the express image of Yahuwah's person, because it's an inclination that my desire is to Yahuwah, because I want to be a companion to someone who fears him, because they're going in, we're going to be able to walk hand. Like it said in Psalms, even though talking about two friends, we're going to be able to walk in sweet counsel in the house of Elohim together. I'm not unequally yoked with you. I don't never have to worry about what you gonna do. It's forth is serving Yahuwah. We never had to worry about Yahuwah being faithful, but Yahuwah knew we weren't gonna be faithful. Because that's the decision that people don't make. A nigga will not want some. Niggas only want to look to be right. Niggas be wanting to put on. You see it all the time because people go from person to person who deal with the word entirely too much. Talk to this person, talk to this person, this, that, then, the third. Nigga been in the word, just like I read her earlier. Nigga say, how is it possible that you date a nigga who in the word, you break up with him, now you don't deal with the word no more? And this stuff happens all the time, even with Christians. So that means your desire was never to Yahuwah, your desire was always to your own will. So we're just using this natural situation to understand your desire needs to be to your husband. Let's look at the word for desire there in Genesis chapter 3. I'm finna get ready to wrap this up anyway. Yeah, I'm finna get ready to wrap this up. I think I pretty much made my point. That word for desire is teshukah, which we talked about. It's a longing or a craving. And that goes back to what I mentioned earlier before. You do. How many of you sincerely, from the depths of your soul and in your heart, long and crave to see Yahuwah's face? Because remember, that's what he said in Revelation 22. You'll see his face, right? So if you have that longing or that craving for this person, because again, you sit back and look at it, right? You say you godly, then you're going to have a longing and craving for godliness. So you wouldn't choose to align yourself. That's why he said, what agreement have light with darkness? What agreement does Mashiach have with Belial? What agreement does Elohim have with idols? So you don't have a longing and craving for Elohim. You have a longing and craving for your own self, which means what he said in Timothy, that men to be lovers of their own selves and pleasers of men versus pleasers of Elohim, because we don't have that. See, you know what makes longing and craving go? Most people, y'all in here married, so maybe y'all can bear witness to it, and maybe you can't. Some people say, oh, marriage ain't got no life in it, ain't got no spark, because the nigga done lost the longing and craving for their spouse. And you know how they lose it? How you think they lose it? Seriously. How you think they lose it, little mother? That's all it is. I done got comfortable. I know you're gonna be here, and I know you're gonna do this, and I know you're gonna do that, and then you don't long and crave for this person. Like, how many times people say you got to keep dating your wife, or you got to keep doing this, or keep doing that? Cause niggas sit back. I've been with her 10 years. You begin to feel like you take her for granted, and that's how we end up with you. Oh, I know the word. We gonna get the word. You take him for granted. You don't long for him. You don't have that passion or that fire for him that you did when you first met him. When you first heard his name and he first revealed himself to you, when he first showed you the work to get you in the door or the yada so he could know you and acknowledge you, you lost that fire because you got comfortable with him. Shoot, I already know every night he gonna make that hamburger helper. You know what I'm saying? And you get comfortable.
I'll see you later when I get home.
I'll see you later when you get home. And guess what happened when you get too comfortable? There'll be a Dear John letter on the fireplace. Nigga gone. Nigga gone, and you wondering why they left. Because you took him for granted. Because you thought that Yahuwah would always be there. And that he'd always put up with your crap. And one day, when he ran out of matches, he blew the joint. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just being honest though. Like I told you before, it's really two strong scenarios in the word that he always used, and that's the relationship between a man and his woman, and a parent with his child. Because pretty much everybody can relate to both of those scenarios in a natural sense. Because if you ain't married, you definitely can relate to a parent and a child, because you were a child, even if you ain't got none. You can't escape that. You can't escape that. So when you look at it in that point, see, sometimes niggas think they just be mentioning that just to mention it. I mention it so you can see that, number one, that maybe you can acknowledge what you might got going on with whoever you married to, but then you can actually see that that's how you serving your husband in heaven. You serving your husband in heaven the same way you mad the way your husband serving you, or vice versa. And maybe might have your spouse serving you in this capacity to make you tighten up. Maybe he don't make your children don't listen because you don't listen, so that'll make you tighten up.
Ooh, I think for that all the time.
Because then we...
Can I really be honest with you? Am I really supposed to be honest?
And Muffin, know you talk about that all the time. You a grade A hypocrite. You get mad at them children for not listening, and you ain't listening to Yahuwah. You a top class hypocrite. You don't listen. And Yahuwah say, got him. Because you don't listen either. Do you know what I'm saying? Now you know how it feels. But remember how I mentioned earlier, see how we bring it back? While I was talking about, you want to pray for somebody, pray for them to afflict you. Pray for them to show you what your transgression and what your area is so you can correct it. That's how you do that. That's how you do that. You want somebody to get right, then you pray for y'all to bust him out that nigga upside his head one time, man. Teach that nigga son. Don't the book say, blessed is he that chasten? Yahuwah, please chasten this nigga. Chasten that nigga decent. Yeah, you want somebody to get filled with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, they gonna have to be chastened. Straight up and down. See, most of y'all already married. See, that's why we had to come. Most of y'all already. Well, you want to get married, well, you better make sure that nigga is solid. And when I say solid, I'm talking about the woman too. With the word, not all the other stuff. All the other stuff falling. I'm talking about with that word. Screw all that junk. Boy, you ain't that lonely. You ain't that lonely. You ain't that lonely. Not to marry no sinner. No sir. And that just for people in the room. That's just for anybody who watch and see it later. Ain't nobody that lonely to go to hell behind a nigga. You ain't that lonely and you ain't that horny. I promise to you. I promise to you not. We gonna make sure your soul solidified. Everything else. Didn't we just read that last night? He told you to seek what? The kingdom of Elohim. He add all that to you. You seek the kingdom of Elohim, I guarantee you give you a godly spouse if that's what you're doing. He give you a good job, good business, he give you whatever you need. You seeking your own desire, and he gonna give you exactly what you're looking for. So when you bust hell wide open, he gonna like, well shoot, I gave you what you had me for. You said you wanted a little bit of money, take a little trips, go a little jobs and all this shit. Say you was a little horny, you wanted to marry, so you didn't burn, so shoot. I gave you somebody and you still burn, so I guess that didn't work out for you. Don't he tell you that in Psalms? That he gave them over to their own desire? Let me see what their end gonna be. You kept wanting to do what you want to do, but shoot, nigga, here you go. Shoot, let me know how it work out for you in the end. I'm finna slide over here. Man, ain't no game. I ain't telling y'all this for no reason. It is what it is. You can play with him all you want to. You can take it for a joke. That man gonna do exactly what he said he gonna do. Them people said, let his blood be on his children, and he shut their hearts and minds off from hearing the word. He gave them exactly what they wanted. That what you wanted? There you go. I'm gonna harden your heart. You'll never believe it. You know what I'm saying? Shoot, take it. That's what you want. Don't think that's the saying that people say, be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. You know what I'm saying? I shared a picture earlier because I agree with it. And it's the same token spiritually first, not just naturally. Some people just want a wedding and not a marriage. See, the wedding is for show. The marriage is the work. See, spiritually, that's what I'm talking about. See, some people want the show of a wedding or being righteous. I got baptized. I'm in the word, y'all. But not do the work that's required to be married to this man. It's the same thing. This ain't no natural thing. I mean, you talked to my homegirl years ago. She's like, I want to get married. I said, you only want to get married because you want to be seen. You want to spend all this money on this marriage, talking about your day. It's all about you. That's pride. That's selfishness. You ain't talk about the whole. You didn't talk about we becoming one. You never said we. You never said us. It was always my, I. Come on, man. You just want to put on a show. So when you come to serve Yahuwah, why is it not? When Daniel prayed in Daniel 9, he said, we have sinned. Because the book say Daniel was blameless. He said, we have transgressed. We. He never isolated himself from the whole. Because he was ready for the marriage and not for the wedding. Yahushua never separated himself from the people. He never said, I. He said, eat. That's what you're supposed to look at when everybody drunk from that cup. And everybody ate off that one piece of bread. Because it was all about the we. And not the I. Not singular. Not an individual. Because that's a part of being in the marriage. Because you one in his body. And that's all. Because you got to realize something. Getting baptized is like your wedding ceremony to a certain extent. Niggas put fresh outfits on to get baptized, don't they? When they know it's coming, niggas try to put on all white. You know what I'm talking about? This right here. Not everybody do it, but a lot of people do. Some people just be like this here. Shoot, just don't drop me in that water, cuz I don't care nothing about it. I don't need no show. You know what I'm saying? And there's nothing wrong if you want to take photographs and videotape it and all that type of stuff, because it's a special moment for a lot of people. You know, everybody's different. But for the most part, though, how many niggas we know baptized sours as a lemon? How many people we seen have big, beautiful weddings? Marriage was horrible because it was all about the show. It was never about the union, the work of two coming together to be one, like Elohim ordained from the beginning. Because what did he say Eve was supposed to be? A helpmeet. She's supposed to be an aid, a help, or a succorer. And that's what Yahushua came to do, to be an aid and a help and a succorer to those in the flesh. That's what he came to do. He came to help. You know what I'm saying? So when you turn around and you look at that and you put these two things together, it causes you that Yahushua was more concerned about the marriage than the wedding. Because him dying was his espousal to take this woman as his wife. He wasn't concerned with the show of the wedding. He was concerned about the marriage. The marriage was more important than the wedding. Now that's not to say that if you want to get married and shoot, it's in your budget and you got the bread and that's what you want to do and you have a wonderful, you know, black people like to have a good time. Do what you do. You know what I'm talking about? But don't be so concerned about the show versus the work. And just don't think we talking about putting on a white, because you know a lot of people when put on white now, they ain't got no, they just might as well, you did wrong. Go ahead and put some burgundy or black on. Because ain't nothing pure about that vagina. That's what it means, though. That's the tradition. You putting on white because you supposed to be a virgin. You supposed to be pure. Nigga getting married, got 3 kids. Clearly, you're not pure.
They've been wearing cream.
And that would be acceptable. That would be acceptable. You know, that's why he tell you put on the fine linen, clean and white, because you supposed to been what? Purified when you come to the marriage supper of the Lamb. I seen a nigga say the other day that if your marriage don't count, if you were married to a Gentile and you came into the truth, you had to get rid of them now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it was a picture of some white boy at a Passover with a black woman celebrating Passover, and them niggas were going hard. How do they let these heathens in here? Niggas,
What
so
script are y'all reading? They are just retarded.
they tried Nehemiah.
They are retarded.
They tried.
Don't put Nehemiah in that. Don't put none of them in that food.
I don't disagree, man. I don't disagree. Where we at? I got one more thing to hit in Psalm 72. We call this a wrap. I gotta work my way down. We in verse 15. So he says, he shall live and he shall be given of the gold of Sheba. Prayer also shall be made for him continually, and daily shall he be praised. And that word for praise is actually Baruch. So when he tells you that he will redeem you, that you shall live, and prayer will be made for you continually, and daily you will be blessed. And when we look at prayer, that's palal, or for this man to intercede or to mediate on your behalf. We already know from Hebrew chapter 7 that Yahushua say he make intercession, daily for those who come to Elohim by him. And because this man has redeemed you from death, every day of your life you'll be blessed. And we will end it with Psalms 50 and 22 on that note. Actually, I will start at verse 16, just on the strength for the fullness of what I'm finna say. He say, but unto the wicked Elohim saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, that thou should take my covenant in thy mouth, seeing thou hate instruction, and thou cast my words behind thee? When thou saw a thief, then thou consented with him, and hast been partaker with adulterers. Thou hast given thy mouth to evil, and thy tongue framed deceit. Thou sit and speak against thy brother, thou slander thy own mother's son. These things hast thou done, and I kept silence, that thou thought that I was altogether such as one as thyself. But I will reprove thee and set them in order before thine eyes. You know that part right there when verse 21? That's the funniest thing that I've encountered since I done dealt with this word. Because I done sat down and talked with some niggas, and these niggas is really wicked, and they all together really be thinking that you just like them. Mm-hmm. Then they find out that no, nigga, I'm not like you, cuz I don't got time for that. Now consider this, ye that forget Elohim, lest I tear you in pieces, and there be none to deliver. Whoso offer praise esteem me, and to him that order his behavior aright, I will show the salvation of Elohim. And again, of course, for praise, it is Todah, which y'all already know that, which is the sacrifice of thanksgiving. And what would you be thanking him for? You would be thanking him for the redemption that you have received by Yahushua's blood, because you would be precious in his sight, and he would redeem you. And that's what be where you turn around and look at, blessed are those who are poor in Ruach, because theirs is the kingdom, because they humble themselves on his hand. So hallelujah for Yahushua and the word, and we will stop right